broken system chained and tangled up in lies. Voices shouting, screaming in defeat. Politicians playing games under darkened skies. Hope lost in the dust of the street. Red and blue, colors pouring from the sky. Debates turn to anger, oh, the crowd gets loud. Punches flying in the blink of an eye. Truth buried deep beneath the shroud. Welcome to the bullpen, where the weak don't survive. These broken dreams we defend, trying to keep alive. Faces on the screen, flashing perfect teeth. But behind those eyes, just rotting greed. Politicians turn to whispers beneath. They all just get what they need. Whispering conspiracies, drowning in their lies. Echoes of freedom, lost in cries. Spin the wheel of fate, let's see who rise. But this game will bleed you dry. Welcome to the bullpen, where the weak don't survive. These broken dreams we defend, trying to keep alive. Welcome to the bullpen, where the weak don't survive. These broken dreams we defend, trying to keep alive.
Well, we're in the new time slot, so now it's good evening and welcome to the bullpen. How are you doing, Chad?
We're in the end game now. We're in bullpen after dark. Our final
Uh-huh.
form, maybe our final form, final evolution. Not really. No, just another step in the way. This is nice. Didn't have to feel rushed. Didn't have to worry about whether you would be awake and not hungover to do the
True.
Because if you watch Zach's channel, uh,
Shut up. Yeah, last night was a bit crazy, mostly because I didn't have to get up this morning. But yeah,
Brahma was like Frank the Tank in old school. He's like, I'm just having a good time, man. I don't know what's going to happen after the show. We're going streaking. What's
had a
going
nice
down
little
the
Sunday
quad?
planned. Gonna go to the Olive Garden, maybe hit up Lowe's.
Oh,
But
no, every married man relates to that scene in the therapist office. Like, we were in the Olive Garden. I just found myself wondering, what color underwear? What, I thought this
yeah,
was a safe space.
I thought this was a safe space.
Chad
I
sounds
love
a
that
little
movie.
hyper. Yeah, I do. That was peak America, right? Coming out of the '90s and the early O's, we had pretty much solved most of our issues. We were just having a good time until but basically right before everything, right before 9/11.
Right
So,
before political correctness kind of came in and started screwing
so
over everything, and it has morphed into woke.
if you want to go under that theory, I guess September 10th, 2001 was peak America.
Right.
So,
Kind of was. I
yeah.
mean, me and you were just finishing up, well, just in the middle of college, I
Yep.
guess.
I was in the middle. I was getting my car's first oil change September 11th, and bam, just drive. I turned on the radio here in DC, and I was like, "This is the stupidest bit. It's not funny at all." I thought it was the morning, like Elliot in the morning here in DC doing his funny shtick, and he's like, "There's a
Sure.
plane that hit the World Trade Center." I was like, "What's funny about that?" And then after about 2 minutes, you're like, "Oh, this is not a bit. This is a real thing."
This is real. Yeah,
Yeah.
I had actually woken up in time to see like the replay of the first plane getting or hitting it, and then I saw the second one live. But I had an astronomy class that morning, and the professor refused to cancel because they would want us to go on with this astronomy class rather than figure out what was actually going on that day. So yeah, had to go to the planetarium over at CU, and that was weird. There weren't a lot of people in the class that morning.
No, I can tell you, it going to a school in ostensibly Northern Virginia, classes immediately canceled. Like
Yeah,
my school wasn't. No school around here was effing around. Everything was shut down.
yeah, it was a weird one, and we've been through a lot of crazy things in our lives already. I mean, I sometimes if you just think about everything that's happened over the past 20 or so years, it's like, how are we still going? I mean, between COVID, 9/11, couple wars over in the Middle East. I mean, even us growing up, with the threat of nuclear attack at all times, being told to get under our desks. It's like, we've had an interesting time to be alive. I wish it
You
would
know,
settle down a little bit.
I don't think it's been given enough thought on the academic level because academic people aren't going to look into this theory since it's about wokeism. But if you think about it, starting with 9/11, that's around when millennials were first getting into college, right? We were
Right.
our age was kind of that cusp generation where we were kind of
Late Gen X, early
centennial,
millennials.
zennial,
Yeah,
whatever term you
zennials.
want to use. I like
Yeah,
zennial as
me
my
too.
preferred one. But start if you really think about it, all the real like legit millennial kids started going to college post 9/11. So you're in an awkward, like if you've got a place where your entire government infrastructure is pushing war, you know,
Yeah,
security state, spying on your own people. That's normally when you're in that kind of situation where you're feeling that unmoored and needing something to guide you, you would generally turn to the church. But they had done
right,
such a good job in the 90s of eviscerating the Christian community as a choice for young people that I think they turned to the Church of Woke. And one of the things, like, it's a perfect storm where 9/11 set the stage for them to be so compliant with turning to woke and making that their religion, where they start seeing institutional racism and all these other problems and making it standards of faith. But again, no academic is going to do the research to try to correlate like that lack of Christian belief system being used
right.
to help to correlate to why the kids turn to the stupidity.
And now the latest generation is turning hard towards the church.
Yeah, and I've
What do
got
we got? Gen Alpha.
I think it's Gen Alpha. Might as well
Well, I
call it
think
Gen.
it's Gen Z. I think it's Gen Z that's actually turning towards the church. Gen Alpha is the ones that are too young to really have any opinion on anything yet,
But
right?
no, they're no. I think Gen Alpha is the youngest. They're the most conservative by studies. They're the ones like watching, all the podcasts and all this other stuff. I feel like we're in a few years somebody's
They're
going
the
to
ones that
start
are currently teens, then
late
teens to
teens
20s.
or late teens, early 20s.
Okay, then yeah,
Um, you're gonna start seeing people calling me a gen based. That's what I'm gonna. They're gen based.
right.
Fingers crossed. At least the male demographic, the
The
male
males
demo,
definitely are. They're the
male
ones turning to
demographic
the church
gen
because
based.
they've been absolutely eviscerated their whole lives for being males. So
Oh, there you go. Eric is already see right there. Gen Alpha and the current is gen based. So somebody must have already been using it. It's
yeah,
too easy. It's a layup. By the way, speaking of with people, um, you know, go turning to faith, I'm still pleasantly surprised with our new Catholic Pope being as good as he has been about affirmations of articles of faith and what you should be expected to be doing if you're a good Catholic. He's not a he's definitely not a Francis, which is good so far.
Right. He's turned away from the Francis style. So even though he was good friends with Francis, um, now most of my fears have been put away, with him right after we got to meet his brother. His brother has been a little bit more open about the family belief system a little bit. So, uh, yeah, until he does something completely crazy, I'm fine with him right now. I mean, also not Catholic, so it doesn't matter if I'm fine with him. But as we've talked about, the Catholic Church does have quite a bit of influence on world politics.
The
So,
Catholic Church also has quite a bit of debt and money issues that they need
money,
resolved. And you know who pays tithes regularly? The conservative church members. You need to, if you want to get if you need tithes flowing back into your church, you don't need wishy-washy like articles of faith. You need like the Mel Gibsons of the world ready to write checks.
right? True enough. I don't know how they can be having money issues, though. I was always told throughout my whole life that the Vatican was the richest institution on the planet. But
In illiquid assets, meaning land
right,
ownership. But if you're trying to just float cash, they are not.
run the day to day. Yeah,
Yeah. So as Donald Trump could probably give you a full 3 hour lecture just off the top of his head on why having assets isn't the same as having cash.
right. Unrealized.
Yeah.
Also,
But Tish
Davina,
James gets that.
happy Memorial Day weekend. Yeah, so tomorrow, Memorial Day, we might actually, depending on how much stuff we've got, we might go a little bit longer than usual today. Well, we're typically going to be trying to do a 2 hour show on Sunday nights. So we're doing an hour and a half on, we were supposed to be doing an hour and a half on Sunday morning, but we'll try to keep this one somewhere around 2 hours. But we have the freedom to go a little bit longer because neither of the spouses will be upset because they'll already be in bed. So.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure you've already seen this. USA wins men's World Hockey Championship for the first time in 92 years.
Since 1933. Yep, saw that. I also saw on the crawl down below some news about Phil Robertson died from Duck Dynasty.
Yep.
So rest in peace, Phil. Good based family.
Yeah, and it's a good moment. Yeah, like, we've got people unfortunately like, who are passing away, but he had lived a good long life. He wasn't, you know, because we've had a few tragedies this week in terms of some very young people with what should have been a full life ahead of them having their lives snuffed out in DC.
In DC. Yep.
Yep. So, and it's nice to be able to send someone off with an entire life and legacy to kind of review. It's really not good when you have to start talking about what happens when people who had their whole life ahead of them start going away. That's why what that Black Hawk pilot did in DC was so terrible.
Right.
It's led to there were children on that plane that she took out, and they're still trying to
It
cover
was a dance team, wasn't it? Or everybody
Yeah.
returning from a dance competition?
from a gymnastics competition. I think it was
Okay. I had heard dance, but
dance
should be gymnastic.
something
Yeah.
similar along those.
Yeah.
So and yeah,
And then we
so
had the shooting this week that you were alluding to. So uh, there's people getting more and more radicalized. And yeah, I like what they're doing as far as what they're doing to like Harvard and some of these colleges, and making it to where you're not going to be able to get any foreign exchange students if you guys keep bringing in people and letting them just speak out against everything in America, because that
Nope.
is what's up.
No, I'm agreeing with you. Like that's we've got some
Okay.
good clips. We got a good clip of Marco Rubio making that case that will kind of That's going to be one of our topics that we hit tonight.
Yeah.
He's being very firm, and the fun thing is, the judge, they immediately appealed to one of the federal judges, and the
Hmm.
judge was like, "No, we're going to enjoin you. You can't do that." And so the workaround is that now the Trump administration has basically said, "Fine, I guess if we're enjoined temporarily from removing you from the program, we're just not going to approve any visas. So you're still not
Yeah.
getting any foreign students."
Wah wah. But yeah, before we go into like clips and stuff, there was a local ish story that I wanted to get into for me. Um, Colorado basically, they've lost their minds. I mean, we've got Jared Polis as the governor, the Senate, and the whole Congress is pretty much blue at this point. So they can rubber stamp absolutely anything they want. And they have gone ahead and done something that even California wouldn't do. They've passed two recent bills. One that basically says that taxpayer funds can be used to medically intervene and do hormones and surgeries for a trans child. And the other is, I believe he's already signed it, is basically that it's now illegal for a parent to misgender their child or dead name their child.
It can be used as a child abuse charge grounds.
Correct. And they can just take away the kids. It also has some effect on businesses. And one of the businesses is a camp called Camp Idrahaji, which is a Christian camp here in Colorado. One that I went to as a kid, one that my kids went to as when they were littler, and actually where we had our senior trip. Like just the weekend type thing. But yeah, they are saying they will not be complying with it, and they're setting up the bakery situation all over again, because there's no reason parents would probably want their trans kid to go to Camp Idrahaji, because it stands for Camp I'd Rather Have Jesus. I mean, it's fully Christian camp. It's been around for like since the 40s, I believe. But yeah, they're compelling them to go along with the stupid gender crap, and the camp is not going to do it. So the state is saying that they will be pulling their license. So it's starting up again here in Colorado. But
Yep.
wanted to call some attention to that, because that'll probably be making big news sometime in the next couple months, because we are going into summer camp season, and somebody will try to test this.
I feel like this law is on borrowed time.
Unconstitutional on its
Yeah,
face.
it's if John Roberts and Amy Coney Barrett want to give American citizens the same due process rights they're given Tren de Agua, when this one gets
Hmm.
challenged in federal court, they should immediately pull it up and just say, "Nope."
Yeah,
Forget certiorari. We are pulling this case up and immediately saying that no, the First Amendment bars this so hard. Like, this
right.
is ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't expect it to stand, but I don't know what damage it's going to do in the meantime. So hopefully they do get it quick, because if you have the state start taking people's kids away from them because they refuse to call them what the kid thinks their gender is, then you're going into some bad areas in this country. The whole everything must be affirmed thing is absolutely crazy. And again, don't know how we got here, but it's been a pretty fast, slippery slope.
The slope is always slippery, even though they try to mock us for bringing it up. But it's never. I've never
It's the
seen a
truest
case.
fallacy there is. I mean,
You know,
everybody calls it a fallacy, but it you can point to it every time and show how true it is. Everything that we've said.
yeah, it's now, you can call it the Overton window, you can call it the slippery slope, but it is
Yep.
undefeated in the history of the world.
True enough. And
So
I mean, half of this one all started with the gay marriage thing. I mean, that's when we started pointing out what was going to be coming, and sure enough, it did.
I'm telling you, wow, I'm putting the chip down on the table. And this is where I got into arguments with my wife even years back before the case before we were before we had children. We were just married, or I think even just engaged, because gay marriage debate went back that far.
Yeah,
And I was like, look, I have no problem with any state that wants to legislate and allow civil unions.
civil unions, yes.
And I was like, it has to go through the legislature, it can't go through the courts. And she was like, why? And I was like, because if it goes through the courts, they're going to make the only way they make that ruling is by saying that laws against gay marriage are finding some kind of moral harm on the marriage grounds, and therefore moral harms can't be grounds to block marriage. And as soon as you make that kind of decision, as soon as you find some kind of inherent dignity in the ability of people to be married and that no state can regulate it, why
Marriage has
can
lost all meaning.
well, no, I looked at her and said, why can't a brother and sister who are adults get married?
Right.
And
Or
she's
why
like,
can't
well,
more than two people? Or why not an animal and a person?
no, but here's the thing. You're like, well, she's like, that's incest. I was like, well, that is a moral judgment.
Yeah.
And she's like,
If
well,
if they just want the tax breaks that a married couple gets, doesn't mean they have to have the incestuous relationship. They just have to be married.
yeah. And she,
And that's what a civil union would have solved.
and Obergefell, which was written by Justice Kennedy, the reasoning in his thing was inherent dignity and the right of adults to love, which is such bullshit. That shouldn't be in any kind of legal reasoning. It is the judge. I mean, even Legally Blonde has the quote: "The law is reason free from passion. It is the law." Right? It's just a thing.
It's supposed to be.
Finding a decision based on inherent dignity and and all this other stuff opens the door. It's just a matter of time. And people think, well, that's crazy. I was like, I could have told, if I went to you in 1987 and told you that would be the reasoning the Supreme Court found to allow gay marriage, you would have told me I was crazy. That'll never happen. It's just a matter of time. Like polygamy, polyamory, whatever thing you want to challenge it, it's gonna be somebody is going to go to a court. It's probably going to be out of Utah, and it's probably going to be polygamy, because they're already framing it. That's why that Sister Wives show was on. That's why Big Love was on. I can tell you right now, plural marriage is on the media agenda. They are framing it for us, where they're doing shows where we are supposed to say, hey, oh, aren't there just people in love? Love is
Right.
love, right?
Love is Love came out just a few years after that decision. And that the second they started using that phrase, it opened everything up to the polygamy stuff, to the minor attracted person stuff.
Well, yeah, I think
And
plural marriage is all right. So here's the steps I'm going to tell you. Next, the first one up is going to be plural marriage or polyamory or whatever bullshit poly thing they want to use. But that'll be the first.
polycules.
That'll be the first one up. Quovers, if you're in Minnesota, whatever. The the That'll be the first one.
Mm-hmm.
That will end up, and because of the reasoning of Obergefell, there's going to be a district judge, probably in the Ninth Circuit, who's going to say the Supreme Court has ruled that love is love and there's inherent dignity, et cetera, and they're going to allow it. And as soon as that one goes through, the next one up is going to be they're going to start pushing towards the age of consent, because once you've allowed gay marriage now and you've allowed poly marriage, age of consent is the next one up after. So that's two steps. We are two steps removed from being able, and the reason they're doing it on two prongs, because on the medical, they're using the medical decision making prong to start shifting legal basis for minors to be able to make decisions about their body. And they're going to use the polyamory thing to shift the marriage one. And so they're going to come together after that in a Venn diagram where there's going to be a legal test case that says a minor is perfectly able to consent to relations with adults, because we've already ruled that they're able, and it's going to be out of the West Coast, probably in one of these states where they've allowed these minor kids to start making these transition decisions.
Washington, Oregon,
Yeah,
California, Colorado.
yep, exactly. It'll be one of those states. and they're going to make the reasoned and logical argument to a court that if you under these precedents we have set, there is no reason why this child cannot consent and therefore make this decision. And that's what they want, to open the floodgates so that
Yep.
we can go, go completely upside down as a culture. And I'm putting that chip down on what the process is going to be. Plural marriage is probably going to be before 2030. They're going to try to push that one. And then as soon as that one goes, within 5 years, it'll be the minors going the other way.
I'm actually kind of surprised we haven't already had the plural marriage. I had kind of thought it would have gotten here
I
quicker.
think they got
but
side. Trump derailed that a little bit,
yeah,
only because they're so focused on keeping, because he luckily for us, Trump has been so aggressive and actually fighting the culture war that he has shifted their focus, and they
yeah.
don't have the time to. They have to run a lot of groundwork.
Well, and at the moment, it's still an 80-20 issue, if not a 90-10 issue.
Yeah, so
But
it's,
yeah, I agree. If we don't keep electing people who will be completely outright against this, we're going to see those things happen probably in the next 10 years.
and I would say, and that transitions to a good one of our topics to talk about, which is South Africa, right? So we
Sure.
had because South Africa, when apartheid fell and de Klerk released Mandela, and then Mandela ran and won as president of South Africa. That, that was supposed to be right. That was the moral win. Like, that was the great moral victory for the NGOs and what would be the right word? Sanctions people. Because they put all those sanctions on South Africa, they tried to cripple them economically and isolate them so that they would stop doing apartheid, and they did. So that was their great victory. And South Africa, if you look at the stuff we saw in the 90s into the early O's, like even movies like with Matt Damon, what was it?
Blood Diamond?
No,
Or no.
the one where they
Oh,
were
what
the
was
rugby
it?
team.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember the name of it.
But where it was showing that Mandela was like, no, we're gonna reconcile with the white man, with the white population of South Africa. We need everyone to be together on this, right? They were trying to sell this image that South Africa was,
Invictus.
yeah, that South Africa was going to be like, look what they've done, look what they've achieved. But after Mandela died and moved on from being in power, to his credit, Mandela was genuinely trying to integrate, because I think he recognized, and he did give a lot of speeches where he said that the the economic strength of South Africa, we need to have everybody on board to make this country function.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as Mandela was gone, the African National Congress and some of those other parties took over, and they swept way back in, going the other direction, which is the traditional African political direction of vengeance against the people that were in power before you. And this is not a
Right.
racial thing in Africa. There's just a tradition within Africa. If you look at their politics in the late 20th century and into the 21st century, that when a new political party takes over, they take vengeance on the non-ruling class now to assert their authority. In the case of
Right.
South
Because a good
Africa,
a good chunk of the Afrikaners is people that have been there longer than a lot of the people that are currently in South Africa instituting these laws.
yeah,
We talked
so
about that a bit last night on Zax's channel too, with a
yeah,
couple South African.
yeah. I mean, the Afrikaner population is a mix of several European peoples that came down and colonized and then intermarried and then became a very distinct group on their own, separate from any European origins. They have a
Right.
distinct Afrikaner culture, if you will. That doesn't matter. That doesn't matter.
Right.
They are the person who is responsible in a lot of ways.
They were
I
most
mean,
recently in charge. They're the ones that you push back on.
Well, it's very similar to the way some people seem to think that there is some giant conspiracy among a certain religious group to run everything. And
Right.
so they get blamed. That's going to be one of our stories later tonight,
Which
too.
may have gotten 2 people
People
shot that
killed.
we already discussed.
So in South Africa, they are selling the majority population on the fact that the Afrikaners are still responsible for all the ills of South Africa, even though the Afrikaners have not had control of the government effectively for almost 30 plus years. They've been completely a minority party, and they are being blamed for all the economic problems, the crime, all these other issues that still plague South Africa. And
Mhm.
so they are, they get up there and they do their chants, kill the Boer, kill the farmer. I mean, there's clips of the president who was in the Oval Office with Trump singing that on stage recently. Doesn't matter. That's, he's still going to go there. So
But he's gonna deny it.
we had one of the mother of all backfires. This guy was coming in here because Trump, as we talked about, brought in the first refugees of the Afrikaner population to the United States. And
About 50 of them,
yeah,
and the left-wing news went completely
Mhm.
insane about this because they happen to be white. So apparently the only people you are not allowed to grant asylum to or refugee status is white people of any kind. But yeah, you've got the meeting, right? So
yeah. So do you have I think the clip of, I guess, the ambush montage?
oh yeah, let me find that one real
I
quick
think
and
that's a
throw
good
it up there.
setup for what happened on my clip.
Okay, give me just a moment.
Yeah, so the media narrative they decided to go with after this epic beatdown Trump gave the South African entourage and assembly in the Oval Office is that it was an ambush, that he ambushed them because as the South African president is trying to push back and say it's all lies, like Trump is like, hold on, and he has them wheel in a video screen, like a TV, and he starts running a video of all the news stories showing all the like the
Just like when
murders.
we were in 3rd grade and your
Yeah,
teacher did it.
yeah. So the press immediately went out with the talking point, as you'll see from this video.
Yeah, guess which word was pointed to.
The dramatic scene in the Oval Office today, the tense confrontation, President Trump ambushing the president of South Africa.
Up next, another Oval Office meltdown. President Trump ambushing the president of South Africa.
President Trump is being accused of conducting something of a diplomatic ambush of South Africa's president in the Oval Office.
To be with you, I'm Katie Tur. President Trump orchestrated another Oval Office ambush today.
Today, Donald Trump meeting with the president of South Africa and attempting to ambush and humiliate that leader.
To Zelensky territory, where essentially he was a bit ambushed inside the Oval Office.
Felt like an ambush in there, kind of like the President Zelensky meeting in the Oval Office.
This was an ambush. It was orchestrated.
Cyril Ramaphosa brought his best diplomatic self to this meeting, but nothing could have prepared him for this multimedia ambush.
What started as, to some degree, an ambush.
Well, Katie, I mean, it was an ambush. Ambush.
Ambushed.
Ambush.
An ambush.
Ambushing.
Ambushed inside the Oval Office.
Yeah, credit to Western Landsman, I think it was, on X. Put that together.
Yeah, just yeah, just a few times that they said that. So
I was saying it earlier in the week. Remember when the whole thing was George Bush and gravitas? Everybody just started using the word gravitas about George Bush. He just doesn't have gravitas. And it's like, you guys didn't know that word before the Associated Press decided that's what we're going with, gravitas.
So this was a good follow-up. So this person on Twitter was like, the South African press tried to ambush as well by bringing South African golfer Retief Goosen to the meeting, but it didn't go the way he planned. So so this is the South African president in the middle in the chair next to Trump. And after Trump does the thing, he's like, hey, I brought these two golfers, right? You love golf. You know these guys. They'll tell you how South Africa really is. So Retief Goosen is the one on the left. The other one to his right is Ernie Els.
Ernie Els.
Yeah. So so here we go. The South African president goes, "Hey, Retief Goosen, please bail me out. Tell him everything's great."
I grew up in an area in South Africa that is a farmland area, Polokwane, and there is some issues up there. Obviously, my dad was a property developer as well as a part-time farmer, and yeah, some of these buddy farmers got killed. The farm is still
some of his buddy farmers got killed.
going.
Yeah, just
my brothers run it, but it's a constant battle with farms they're trying to burn the farms down to chase you away. So it is a concern to try and make a living as a farmer. And at the end, without farmers, there's no food on the plate. So we need the farmers to produce the food.
Farming, right? He wouldn't do it. He wouldn't even want to do what you're doing, right? They love farming. They don't want to leave. But it's a struggle.
Yeah, and food.
Look at the South African president. He's like, God damn it.
Oops, I'm screwed.
How did I not read that background paper on Retief Goosen before I brought him into the Oval Office? Right now he's going to be like, shut up, Retief Goosen. Ernie Els, you talk.
Food and fresh water is the most important thing in life. Without those two things, you can't survive.
How is the water there?
The water is great. Obviously, all the water comes out of the borehole, out of ground for us down there. But yeah, it is a battle to get water out sometimes when all the equipment gets stolen all the time that you're trying to get the water out.
So does your family and your brother...
So Trump knows what he's got. So he starts immediately using Retief Goosen to start, oh yeah, how's the water? Because he's like, he knows what's going to happen. And Retief Goosen's like, yeah, the water's great. When you can get it out because all the equipment to drill the wells gets stolen.
Right.
Do they feel safe on the farm?
They live behind electric fences, try and be at night safe. But it is constant whenever you leave that something could happen. And
that is not what the South African president wanted to hear. Yeah, they live behind electric fences, and it's constant whenever you leave, something could happen to your farm.
There's nowhere to live.
Both of them has been attacked in their houses. My mom's been attacked in her house when she was
my mom has been attacked.
My brothers and my mother have all been attacked.
So what you're seeing is the president of South Africa put on display for the world that one of the richest golfers in the world, because Retief Goosen is a very successful, very well-paid golfer.
Long career.
And his family don't have the money to even put enough security systems in place where they can be safe. His mother was attacked. His brother's been attacked. They live behind fencing and all that. So doesn't do a lot to dispel the stuff that Trump was trying to say. Mother of all backfires right now saying, hey, Retief, can you help me out here, bro?
So. Yep.
All right.
And Ernie Els just sitting there nodding along. Mm-hmm. Yep.
My family's not farmers. We got the F out.
Yeah.
I bet if I looked it up, Ernie Els probably doesn't even live in South Africa anymore.
Oh, I'm sure he lives in California. Somewhere like that.
All right, let me take this off the screen so you can transition out.
Hey, it just worked. So, yeah, I did love the press going after Caroline Levitt as well, going, yeah, well, the video that Trump showed, that's all fabricated. None of that's actually real. And they're like, Caroline Levitt's like, so you're saying that none of those people that he showed all the evidence of being killed have been killed? They're all just doing fine?
So what they're trying to hang up on is that Trump said that this was, look at this, it's a video of a mass grave. And so they're hung up on the fact that that wasn't actually a mass grave.
The word that he used.
Yeah. So what it is
it's
they
a
put
tribute.
Yeah, as Davina said, I think earlier in the chat, there was they put white crosses up along the highway for every victim that's, of those violence. And so Trump it's one of those things where because he misspoke briefly about and called it a mass grave rather than a representation, they're like, look at that. Look, he's lying. He's lying. He's lying. It's one of, again, I think people who followed Trump and have advocated for him have said for the longest time what Trump says when they get all bent out of shape, he might misspeak on the fine details, but he's directionally accurate. What he's
Right.
saying is that white Afrikaner farmers are being murdered in South Africa in order for their land to be taken from them. And that is an indisputable
And their
fact.
politicians are cheering it on.
Encouraging it. So,
yes.
Yeah. So it's that's what they don't get. Like that's what what I think it was Yamchi Alexander who was the reporter who was going after Caroline Levitt. Like he was he was lying. He was lying. It wasn't a mass grave. And Caroline Levitt is like, or it was going to the fact of what he was getting at, which she was like, are you saying that farmers aren't being killed in South Africa? And Yamchi Alexander kept falling back on, but he said it was a mass grave. And Caroline Levitt is like, so are you denying that? And she won't address the root cause of what Trump is saying because she's just trying to get, into the semantics. It's a very lawyerly thing to try to do. It's the kind of people who would say it depends on what the definition of is. Yeah. And when everyday average people are like, that's bullshit. You're like, we all know what he's doing.
Well, and it's the game that the media plays with the Trump White House, which they obviously did not play with the Biden White House. I mean, they were too busy covering up his cognitive decline and apparently his cancer, which we didn't get to cover last week because it got announced after our show was done.
The reporters covering the Biden White House would have gone up and asked Karen whatever her name is. Karine Jean-Pierre. I heard that Biden made boom boom today. How wasn't he the most successful president to ever go boom boom at his age? And that would be that's the kind of questions they would get until it got around to
Peter Doocy.
Pete Doocy, where Pete Doocy would be like, there's 1 million people coming in through the southern border. Like, how can you say it's secure? And then KJP would be like, it's the most secure border in history.
When is Kamala Harris going to visit the border? No answers. There, let's see if that transition works. Because we lost the audio visualizer. All right. It's back now. It looks back to me. It's just not popping that I can see, but whatever. It's the audio visualizer.
It's there now. I'm looking at the YouTube feed. It's there. We are professionals.
Yes.
That's what I get.
Nothing has changed about moving to nighttime.
And this is good because I've got clips galore. Did you see, as a nice transition, the ad that the military ad that they aired on the Coca-Cola 600 primetime NASCAR race just tonight?
No, because I didn't watch the race, so I did not see the ad. Was it good?
Yeah, I got it right here.
Did it include two moms?
It included some Hegseth quotes, so you know it's going to be good.
Nice.
So I got that ready to go. I think this is a nice palate cleanser before our next topic here.
Okay.
No more distractions. No more electric tanks. No more gender confusion. No more climate change worship. We are laser focused on our mission of warfighting.
We will measure our success not only by the battles we win, but also by the wars we end, and perhaps most importantly, the wars we never get into. It's called peace through strength.
You look into the eyes of these young Americans who are giving up the best years of their life in a uniform to serve their nation. They are incredible.
Through our power and might, we will lead the world to peace. Our friends will respect us, our enemies will fear us, and the whole world will admire the unrivaled greatness of the United States military.
Just give a pause for transformative content here, but man,
yeah,
this is what an ad should look like. Yeah.
This is Pete Hegseth doing it.
We will replenish the pride of our armed forces, end the recruitment crisis.
We don't fight because we hate what's in front of us. We fight because we love what's behind us.
God bless you. God bless our armed forces. God bless our men and women serving overseas. And God bless the United States of America.
Nice.
That was great.
That was not someone like, I joined because of my two moms protesting.
Yeah.
By the
And
way,
we need more of that.
You want to know how wrong that ad is? I'm going to tell you something that people don't get in that. In that ad, this bitch, who's supposed to be representing like the greatness of the military, she talks about how she was valedictorian, that she graduated like summa cum laude from college, and then she enlisted in the military, and as a corporal is up there giving presentations. Let's talk about how stupid she must have been if she enlisted after graduating top of her class and was a goddamn corporal
rather than going to the
if
the
you're
academies.
If you're graduating from from college and you enlist, you are generally being moved to officer candidate school, OCS, because you have a degree, you should have some qualifications. You shouldn't end up as a corporal. And if
you should have gone to officer training, or
she should have been an
you should have gone to one of the military.
Yeah, or she could have, or you should have joined ROTC in college so that you graduate and commission immediately as an officer.
Right.
It's ridiculous. Like, there's no, if she's only a corporal, that also means she's fucked up on her ASVAB so bad. She didn't have any specialty training to do something that mattered. Like, it's so bad. Her degree
was probably in underwater basket weaving.
That's like anybody who's got like any kind of military or quasi-military background, when she's like, I graduated top of my class and enlisted, and now a couple years later as a corporal, you're like, you are not. What is wrong with you? You should not be a corporal. Like, as an example, Pete Hegseth, who went to the National Guard route, went to college and became an officer, because if you go to college, you can do your National Guard service and then you'll be commissioned in as an officer because you have a degree and you're considered an educated party, and you can become. It's so stupid. That means she's a retard. Stupid.
Literal. Yeah. You've thought an awful lot about that commercial, haven't you?
Because it's immediately like it immediately sticks with you if you've like, I grew up and I was an army brat. Like, corporal is not a high rank. Corporal is the first step up. Like, it's specialist. I mean, it should be. I think it's
private.
I think you're nothing when you're in basic. Then you go to private to special. I forget whether specialist or private is first, or they flip flopped it. And then after whichever one is the basic rank, you can move up to corporal. It's the first level of being enlisted to have some kind of responsibility over another party.
Right.
And eventually you can move to the first level of sergeant. And then you start moving up the sergeant ranks. If she was in there with a college degree and had been in like 3 or 4 years, there's no, like, the idea that she's just making corporal is like, you are not doing well in this army. You should probably just not re-up.
Instead, she's a recruitment ad.
I mean, I guess she's an ad for what they wanted to have in the military, but it's not an ad for anything that's going to help. Like, as Pete Hegseth would say, it's not going to help lethality.
Yeah.
All right, so Paradise is confirming it's private, then specialist, then corporal. So,
Okay.
So she's managed to move up to probably an E4. I think it's corporal, E3, E4. Corporal is the junior NCO. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which if you have a degree, you should not be a junior NCO going, after several years.
Yeah, I would not have known any of that until you just said all of that, because I just figured the commercial was stupid. But don't really have any military involvement except for my son-in-law, and good luck getting me try to figure out what he's doing at the moment as far as ranks. And he's going to school right now for something, I think, to become a specialist.
To become a special, how long has he been in?
I don't know. I'm not entirely clear on all of that part.
All right, first,
the military somewhat baffles me.
So all you need to do is ask him what E he is, because E for enlisted, O for officer, and you get a number. And even though most of it, you'll use ranks, but if you want to know what level of actual responsibility they are, you ask what E number they are. E1, E2,
Yeah.
E3, E4, E5, E6, and you can get what.
Him and my daughter are actually out in your neck of the woods right now. They're in Norfolk.
Well, that's about 4 hours away, but yeah, general vicinity.
It's a lot closer to you than Colorado is.
He's in the Army, though, right?
Yeah.
Norfolk is a naval station and an Air Force base is down there too. But so
he's at one of the bases up there doing trainings. I'm not sure if he's actually in Norfolk. That's just where they've spent all their free time.
Okay, then there's
They've
lot
been
of
going to Virginia Beach, Norfolk. I mean, that area. I'm not sure which base he's actually at.
There's a lot of Army things. It could be, I doubt it's not Belvoir because that's northern Virginia. We don't need to get into the details of which base he's been assigned to. But
no, because we got plenty of other stuff to talk about.
You want to? You know what? Here's a good transition to the big beautiful bill.
Big beautiful bill,
because that's going to include salary increases for enlisted people. That's one of the things that's going to be in that. So
there's a lot in that. It is a very big beautiful bill.
You know what?
Also doesn't go far enough, unfortunately, because of politics. It can't go far enough.
But we need to start being happy with what we can get.
I understand, and I am happy that the tax cuts are going to stay in there. I'm mostly happy on the no taxes on tips and the Social Security, lesser taxing on that. I would have liked a little bit more of what he had been talking about, and I would like them to get, some control over some of the different Medicaid, Medicare, and Social Security, and at least reform it a little bit. But we're not going to get that one in this one, it sounds like. But we're getting a good chunk of stuff.
We are getting
including
suppressors being removed from the NFA.
Correct.
Hello,
that got slipped in there.
That's a win. Oh my God.
And we're getting a lot more border security.
Do you know how cheap suppressors will be once they're not in the NFA? Oh, so
Chad's getting excited.
I'm going to have it once I get my job. I'm going to have a suppressor on every goddamn gun I own.
Yeah, I'll probably pick up one for each of mine. Hey, Copy Kitty finally gets to catch the Sunday show live now that we're at the new time. Nice to catch you live for once. Thank you for the $20 Copied. Appreciate it.
Copied is a super fan galore.
And good to see you.
We love Copied. She's so they're so supportive of everything we do.
Yeah, she hits all of my stuff, your stuff, Mad stuff. Probably even us in an arcade.
Yep. So, but yeah, the suppressors. Oh God, so good. I'm like, I didn't think that if that's how they're buying me off as the Second Amendment guy, that's fine. I'll take it.
But what is it going to do in the Senate? Because we've got a whole bunch of rhinos that will start picking apart and adding their own amendments or taking out stuff from it. Because now the Senate gets to play with it. It's only passed the House. So what are your thoughts on that? Because I think there are a few people over there that are going to try to dismantle everything. And the reason it's called a big, beautiful bill is because it's basically got most of what Trump wanted all in one package. And he's not going to be real happy if they try to start taking stuff in or putting stuff in or taking out.
So that's the tough question because Ron Johnson's come out. He's been the most, the one I saw most recently, that there's enough votes to tank it, which means there's more than 3 Republicans with him. So let's go through the list. We know Rand Paul's already said he's a no, so he's on the list. Ron Johnson would be 2. And whoever right now is the reason they're coming out is because they don't think it cuts enough spending. And you've already seen the stories being planted that the people
they're going along with the left media saying, no, this actually just adds a ton to the deficit. It's like, no, there are spending cuts. And part of it is if you don't pass it, then the Trump tax cuts likely expire, which means taxes go up on everybody.
Yeah.
So they need to shut up and just do what's right for the country for once, instead of being so Puritan about everything. It's what we've talked about with the abortion topic many, many times. Yes, you got your standards and your morals, but if it's not directly going against your morals in this case, then maybe just take the win for once. Republicans have to learn how to freaking govern. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, and so I think that we're going to end up getting there. I think what we may get is a little bit token spending reduction additionally. So that a lot of it's like these tariff negotiations.
Well, it better not come from the border, and it better not come from defense.
No, my guess it's going to come right now. Ron Johnson and a lot of them are, and they are correct in this, that there should be no reason we can't take the spending levels of the federal government back to pre-COVID levels.
True.
Which would cut money by itself. And I think what they're going to get is they're going to get some additional cuts to Medicaid and some of those other support programs that bring it back in line further with what was spent prior to COVID. But it's still going to be almost, I'd say that they, out of the bill, it's a 10-year plan, quote unquote. They're probably going to get an additional couple $100 billion in spending cuts so that they can save face, which over the
that's
course,
really nothing at this point.
Which over the course of the 10 years equates to about 10 to 20 billion per year in savings, which is still savings.
Yeah.
But because the people need to understand Trump's plan, like you got to, I've laid it out before. There's three legs to this stool. Yeah. And he's already started with the trade stuff. And
tariffs, tax cuts.
By the way, Scott Bessent has been out there talking about how now we're taking in $10 to $20 billion per month in tariff money.
At just the 10% level.
At just the 10% level. So that's going to be a baseline now that we're going to be making 100 to 200 billion in revenue on tariffs.
And I ask you, chat, have you seen very much increase? Because we've had the 10%. Supposedly it was going to get all passed on to us. Have you seen major increases in anything? Because I haven't really seen anything that I would qualify as a major increase on any of the goods. And this is on everything. The 10% is flat. Everything is getting tariffed 10%. So sounds like we were kind of right, and that the seller is going to eat it.
Yeah.
Not us.
Or in the case of China, they're already doing they're doing currency manipulation. So the way China does it is they devalue the renminbi, so that even though the tariffs go up, that because they've devalued the currency, paying in American dollars gets them more renminbi. It's the way to become. If you want to become more competitive,
they also sell their debt to their own citizens.
Oh, I mean, China is on the verge. I mean, there's a lot of problems going on in China that don't get reported.
The thing China has going for it is they don't have to give a crap. And if everything goes bad, they just make it go bad for their people because they are not a democracy. So
there are legitimate theories, and I've started looking into it, that the Chinese population is under 1 billion people. Well under.
The number that I saw was possibly 300 million.
Yeah, we're talking that it's probably safe to assume they're at least as low as 600-700 million, and they could be as low as 300 because they stopped reporting
due to the one-child policy.
They did it like 30 years ago because they started seeing the giant red warning light of demographics. If they don't have, China has always intimidated people based on the population. We can throw 1 billion people at you.
Yeah, 1 billion people we can conscript.
Yeah. But if they don't have that, if you're talking about the fact that China is trying to intimidate the world, as an example, look at the United States, right? Our population is roughly around 350 million officially people here in the United States.
Probably closer to 380.
It's probably closer to 380 because we've got illegal residents. The United States with a volunteer force and the most technologically advanced and well-equipped military in the world could not effectively run a two-front war. We're talking about Iraq and Afghanistan, and they're right near each other. What
Right.
China is threatening to do, possibly with the same population as the United States, is try to take on the entire Southeast Asian Peninsula zone, the South China Sea. They're dicking around in Africa where they've got their Belt and Road initiatives. They're messing around with the Panama Canal. Like they're talking like if we take the Panama Canal, they're going to do something about that. There is no way they without it, and they do not have an effective blue water navy. What that means is being able to project power around the globe. Like the United States has multiple carrier groups where we can basically put out an air force against you on the sea to start striking your targets.
China has what, 3 carriers?
I think
they're not near up to snuff compared to ours.
One of them is a purchased, retrofitted Russian carrier, and I think they have 2 of their own. And they've still had again, there's no official reporting from China on this. The alleged evidence is that they still haven't quite worked out the launch system properly. We have, if you've ever watched
the
catapult launch, and we have ones that work on electromagnetic. We have ones that used to be hydraulic. Anyway, they still haven't. There's a lot of time, effort, and money that goes into.
They haven't been able to reverse engineer some of our stuff yet to figure out how to do it.
Well, it's no mistake that the China immediately rolled out a stealth fighter 2 years after they data breached the United States defense industry and got the files on the F-22 and the F-35, and that their stealth fighter that they put out looks like a hybrid of an F-35 and an F-22. So it's ridiculous. They're not like Russia, where Russia has internally developed the Su-57 Felon, which is a 5th generation fighter, as seen in Top Gun Maverick, doing the falling leaf maneuver, which that was the biggest bullshit in the world, that 2 modern fighter pilots would have been like, what is
taken
he doing?
Down by an F-16?
When Mav and Goose's kid were like, oh my god, what is that? The floating leaf, flying leaf, whatever, gets done at air shows all the time because it's the coolest way to show off what a next gen fighter can do with its fly by wire systems, where it can like tilt all the avionics and shit. Like we do it. They wouldn't be surprised by it. But I'm guessing the average population of the United States has probably never seen that. So in the movie theater, it's like, wow, what is that? A plane can do that? That's cool.
It was to draw attention that they kept making a big deal out of the next generation fighters being able to do so much more than what they were dealing with.
Yeah. So we've got all these other things going on. We got China, we got all this, and we've got, circling back to our thing, we got these Republican senators trying to dick around. Stop it. Like the tariffs are, like, get over it. It was the F-14 Tomcat was the one that they were flying, which is actually faster than the F-18 Hornet, technically at top speed. Because the Super
of
Hornet.
size.
Well, the Super Hornets shifted for maneuverability and some other things over the big ass
flat out speed.
Yeah. We started discovering that there was a lot of other things that could be beneficial besides flat out speed.
Yeah, being able to turn on a dime.
Yep. So it's but the senators need the same lesson I said to the guys in the House, which is stop being a grandstanding asshole. And luckily, the Chip Roys and some of the other guys did.
Massey.
And we had even one of the guys I'll give credit to, who was still against the bill, voted present so that the bill could still pass. Because if he had voted no, it passed by 1 vote. If he had gone no instead of present, So
I thought there were 3 that went present, but was it just 1 in the end?
I know that,
or was that when it was coming out of committee?
It might have been when it was coming out of committee, but I think the final vote was just 1 present. Like Massey and some of those other guys, if they want to make their point, vote present. Just be a dick that way. Don't give the no vote into that column. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
Yeah. I mean, people are very effective by just voting present. Barack Obama.
That's how he kept
all he ever did.
That's how he got to be a blank slate, so that he would never have a voting record.
Didn't have to show his socialist leanings because he just voted present.
Yeah. So I do think the big beautiful bill passes. There's going to be if any change the Senate makes will trigger this having to go back to the House through either a reconciliation joint committee or the House having to pass the Senate version as amended. Now, remember, the constitutional process is tax and spending bills have to originate in the House. So that bill we've checked that box. The House passed it. It went to the Senate. The Senate's going to dick around and do what they do. They're probably going to do a couple amendments and then eventually pass it. And it'll go back to the House now. And then this is the Obamacare method, by the way. If you remember Obamacare, it had to go back to the House and had to be repassed at the House. So in this case, once the Senate does any changes they make, as soon as they make a change, the House has to repass it, and then once identical ones have been passed on both houses, it can go to the president as long as it originated in the House initially.
Which is where we're looking at July.
Yep.
July 4th is when he's hoping to have it done. But I think he had said by July 15th he wants them to stop screwing around and have it on his desk one way or another. Because
remember that, so there's two, like you can do reconciliation once per fiscal year. We are the fiscal year of the federal government runs October through September. So technically, this fiscal year thing that they're passing, even though it has things for the further years away, is only running for the fiscal year through the current September.
One through
and
September.
Then after they do that, they're going to be able to start negotiating on the next fiscal year budget that they can do, because reconciliation is the only way to effectively derail
because of the Senate numbers,
the filibuster in the Senate.
Yep.
So Trump
you need a simple majority instead of the 60.
Yeah. So Trump wants this year, before they start running for re-election in 2026, he wants his 2 bites at the apple of reconciliation. And once he gets his big, beautiful bill that has all this stuff, they can worry about doing some of the other priorities in the next reconciliation.
Right. And this one really is to just get the economy kind of jump started, along with the tariffs that he's already put in place. So this is just the second piece to what we need to get everything start moving the right direction. So it is important to get it done as quickly as possible, because so far Congress has not done much of crap during Trump's first term. Or not first term, this term.
Yeah, Congress has had a bad track record of doing anything any term lately, but they have been particularly this term with Trump.
Slow as hell at doing anything.
Plus, we've got with reconciliation again, as the chat is so what I'm super high on getting like suppressors out of the NFA. There's a lot of stuff you can slip into a reconciliation bill, and once we get the big thing right now is they had to get all the tax cuts and stuff done. The next one they can actually
continue the Trump tax cuts for the most part.
The next one they can work on some other priorities. Like I think once they get this one done, I think some of the other bigger priorities about reshoring manufacturing is going to come in. There's going to be a lot of other good stuff in the next one as well. I think Trump is pulling the Reagan philosophy. I talked about it before. Like if they try to saddle you with bad economic stuff, you do it at the beginning of the term, so that by you knock it out, because people have short memories. If the economy, like everybody, like they're throwing out all these, consumer sentiment stuff right now, but if like gas prices are down, actual costs are down for a lot
Adjusted
of
for
things.
inflation, gas is the cheapest it's been since 03
Yeah.
for a Memorial weekend.
Yeah, so if by October, November, by the fourth quarter, the economy has swung around based on all these other things he's doing. Fourth quarter, first quarter, like fourth quarter this year, first quarter of next year is when the economic stuff should start triggering really well. It sets up the Republicans to gain in the midterms.
Yeah.
Or even if they don't gain, what it really sets up is that the economy will be locked in to a pretty good cycle so that JD Vance or Rubio or a combination of whoever the successor is will have a solid
Can run on it.
economy that's humming along to help them get the next term up after that.
You mean like an actual solid economy, not like the one that Joe Biden had that they keep telling us was so great.
The economy of the United States was a lot like Joe Biden's prostate. We heard it was
Non-functional for the last 10 years.
We heard it was great, but there was a giant cancerous growth stemming from it getting into the bones of the body. Trump is delivering the chemotherapy to America right now to get rid of the tumorous growth that is China and a lot of these other bad manufacturing deals. And the truth of the matter is, a lot of these foreign national corporations made a lot of profit at the expense of American workers, at the expense of middle class Americans in general. And taking that medicine to actually get things right is going to cause a little bit of pain for some areas. But if we don't do it now, when are we ever going to do it? That's what.
Yeah. Which is also kind of where I was saying I would love to see some reform on some of the programs, because Trump may be the only person who has the balls to try to push that. Some kind of reform on Social Security, some kind of reform on Medicare and Medicaid, not just, canceling it like they keep saying that he's going to, but getting something done, because they're not sustainable. We can't keep doing it. And within 10 years, our debt to GDP is going to be like 118%, 120%. We're close to 100% right now. The country cannot sustain the spending that we keep doing. That's why Doge was important too.
Let's see. Oh, Eric bringing up the toxic man flu style question. Regarding succession, do you think the Senate GOP would vote to remove Trump if and when the Dem House inevitably impeaches Trump again, even though it would mean Vance is president? No, the Senate would never have 2/3 of votes to get rid of him.
No, not a chance in hell.
They weren't even able to muster 2/3 when they post presidency impeached him in 2021. When there was at that point, Trump was out of office and was considered radioactive as a political power player because of January 6th. So I have no fear at all of impeachment. I have more fear about what happened in Butler, Pennsylvania happening to Trump than I would of impeachment.
Well, the other thing on the impeachment is just don't take it up in the Senate. They didn't with Mayorkas.
Yeah, you can. Apparently, we have a system.
Apparently, there is nothing that says that the Senate has to perform their duties anymore. So
yeah, you can just table it.
Yeah,
tabling. What are you doing with impeachment? We've acknowledged receipt, and we are tabling it. Which is insane. Hilarious. Yeah.
And Mayorkas was so deserving of impeachment. Everything that guy touched stunk. He's half the reason we had the border crisis, because he didn't want to actually do anything, and that was his job.
Yep. Now, let me see where I think.
Yeah, I know Japan's debt to GDP is over 200%, and they're in trouble for it.
Yeah, but Japan has Gundams, so do not sleep. They have these life-size Gundams in Tokyo Harbor that are allegedly tourist attractions till shit gets real and those things light up.
So you're calling the 10-story Gundam life size?
That's life-size for a Gundam.
For a Gundam.
A Gundam's
It's
supposed
a
to be.
Gundam.
Yeah. It's they are do not China. I mean, China. There's a reason China's not messing. Like historically speaking, Japan has whooped their ass from that little island every GD time.
Well, we got a special guest joining us now, so like everybody to welcome the lovely Carrie Smith.
Hello, little Chad and Brahma Bull. How are you?
Hello,
Good. How are you?
Carrie. I know 100% that Carrie is a fan of Gundam and has been watching that anime for 20 years.
I don't know what you're talking about.
See, there it is. That's I know. I was making it. There it is.
Oh.
I was waiting for the blank face about what? What?
Wait, somebody else mentioned Gundam to me today. I'm trying to remember who. It's so weird. I can't remember. So I'm here in Texas with Mr. Mike Harlow, who I know has been on your show before, and I just showed him our house, and he's going to be down shortly. But we don't know. He was just telling me we don't know anything about what's happening politically. So we just wanted to say hi and see how you're doing, and what should we be worried about?
Well, it should be. You mean you should be white pilling about, or
white pilling about, or black pilling about?
All right, here's a white pill for you because I've got harped on it already.
Okay.
In the big beautiful bill, they slipped in removal of suppressors from the NFA. No more tax stamp, no more registration. You'll just be able to buy them over the counter.
Oh, that's fantastic.
See,
that's a big one.
Carrie's been living in Texas long enough that she's gun pilled.
I bought all my guns in LA though. In Los Angeles, my guns still have my AR still has the California bullet button thing on it. I have to get it removed.
Oh, you got a California compliant? I feel so
I got
bad
a California
for you.
compliant. Yeah.
Where it has the hard.
Gross.
Does it have the hard welded 10-round magazine in too?
No, it's not welded in. I got the one before they added that. They're always adding things. But I got it where you can't. The mag release doesn't work. You actually have to stick the tip of a 223 in there.
Yep.
So I have a little magnet that fits in there instead. But I still haven't gotten that removed. I'm in Texas. I can remove it. Mr. Harlow.
Sup, sluts?
Hey, Mikey.
Hi,
What's
Mike.
up, dude?
How you feeling after the travel today?
Amazing. I'm in Texas. What's not to feel great about?
Don't let Adam Krigler get you down for wearing travel clothes. That's messed up.
Wait, what'd you say?
I said, don't let Adam Krigler get you down for wearing travel clothes.
Fucking Adam Krigler. Whatever. I spilled tomatoes all over it. However, I think this shirt's cute. So whatever.
It is
Adam.
cute.
How are you guys doing?
Doing good. First night at our new time slot, and it's good to have you guys as guests. We've got a pretty good group in the chat. A lot of our usuals, and a few of them that weren't able to catch us in the mornings on Sunday. So we're pretty happy.
Davina?
Oh yeah,
What
I
is a
see
Mikey?
it. I see a lot of familiar names there. What's up, awesome one? So we don't want to cause too much of a distraction because we don't know what's going on in the world. We just want to say hi, and then I do want to come back when I know more about what's happening.
It's too bad.
Out of politics.
I was about to say, Carrie really would have loved being on earlier when we did when I did the exact steps that we would move from polygamy to them allowing minor attracted persons to do their business.
Oh, that's what they are. That's their end goal. If you read queer theory, it's all about, they're explicit about it. They're like, we eventually want to remove all boundaries and all norms and all taboos. And they even talk about it, about sexually inappropriate things with kids. It's disgusting.
Yep.
That's why, that's what we were saying, that legalizing things the way they did is step one. Step two is polygamy or polyamory stuff getting allowed. Step three is getting to the kids.
Oh, we're already there. If a person believes that you can give children hormones and that children consent to lifelong bodily changes and stuff, why can't those children consent to child marriage or any sorts of horrible things. There is
Yep.
no daylight.
Spot on. That is
That's
the exact argument.
That's the exact set. I think that's where I said they would merge.
Yes.
I said the way it would go legally in courts is that they'll go to court first for polyamory, polygamy, whichever version they go with as their test case, to get that legalized. While at the same time, the dual track is going after minors' ability to authorize medical treatment,
Which
and
Colorado just basically did.
Yeah, specifically to be able to trans themselves. And then once they get the polyamory polygamy thing to reinforce the no moral judgment on any marriage or relationships, they would then take that medical decision making logic from case law and file cases that children should be allowed to consent to relationships, because if they are legally allowed to consent to their bodily autonomy for medical choices, and we've just said that there's not a moral grounds to ban marriage between, whatever, that taking those two case laws together means that there's no grounds to keep minors from being able to consent to marriage and or activities
I just
that they would like to do.
I just done a bunch of speaking events in California, and these people would come up and say the craziest shit about when it comes to trans stuff with kids. They would say things like, "Who are you to decide for a child what they could do?" And I would always ask them, because, like I said, there is no daylight between these two positions. So I'd be like, "Okay, so can a 10-year-old marry a 60-year-old?" And they'd be like, "What?" They wouldn't answer. Be like, "Can a 10-year-old marry a 60-year-old?" Because, as you said, who are you to decide for a child?
They
and they
don't
get
even
caught in their own ideology that their brain circuits. What's the word I'm looking for?
Short circuits.
Short circuits. But some of them do. I actually a few years ago I was in New York with Mikey. We were with Billboard Chris at a New York Pride Parade and doing the signs and stuff with Billboard Chris, and we were having conversations with people, and there was one woman I talked to who I went through sort of the same logic that he just laid out, where I said, okay, well, do you think children can, there's certain things in society we've always agreed that legally we don't allow children to do because we recognize they're not developmentally the same as adults and the law should protect them. So
They're chipping away at that.
Right. So I said, we don't allow them to drink. We don't allow them to smoke. And she started saying, well, we should. And I said, okay, what about sex with adults? We don't allow them to have sex with adults. She's like, she actually stopped. I could see her thinking, and she chose the path of being intellectually consistent but completely immoral, and said, well, then they should be able to. Yes, they can consent to that. And so they some of them are already doing it. Some of them are already making that leap.
Do you remember that one that we talked to that day? That he was like talking about the same thing, and he was like, "Oh, a 12-year-old woman can consent. A 12-year-old woman.
Yeah.
Oh, well, a 12-year-old woman.
Yeah.
Woman.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know what? You know how you can get them, Carrie? Say, would you let a 12-year-old get a MAGA tattoo? If you were their parent, do you think they're old enough to make that choice?
Speaking of, look at this fun shirt. Look at this. I don't know if you can see it. The Return. It says "Taking America Back." It's like Trump as a 1970s cowboy. It's a
nice.
super Texas kind of movie poster, vintage 70s. I've gotten a lot of positive and negative responses to this shirt.
You should. Did you make that shirt or did you find it?
Everyone fucking hates it.
Oh, it's fine. It's on brand, Mikey.
Thank you. I feel like there's a little bit of there's some shade behind that.
No shade. Good. It's good for you. You can wear that. I can't get away with that. You should do that until you can't.
How do you guys like your new time slot? I'm pretty excited about it. I see somebody in your chat's excited.
I think it's going to work out a lot better for us.
My wife's happier.
Yeah, so is mine. And we won't have the time constraint. We can go as late as we technically need to cover what we want to. So, yeah, I think it'll work out great. And it looks like a whole bunch of people were able to make the jump over to the new time slot. And I know there's a few other things that are going on Sunday nights on our sphere of YouTube, but
I don't think anyone has an
pretty much
overtly
separated
political
from
show,
most of that. Yeah.
Yeah, especially one where you'll get deep dives going into the historical context of things.
Yeah,
that's an
the
Ottoman Empire for reference. Yeah. Look, there's a lot of shit that goes back to the Ottoman Empire. I can't help it. I can't help it, Brahma. People need context to really understand things.
And all the context comes from the Ottoman Empire.
Most of the time, because that's when they've been invading goddamn Europe for 1,000 years, Brahma. 1,000 years.
Hey, can I answer a question in the chat?
Absolutely.
Awesome One said, "Is your husband doing a memorial show, Carrie?" Let me tell you what he's doing today, because this is super cool. If you are ever in Texas, he's playing a show. It's it's a Memorial Day show, and it's a January 6th reunion show at this bar in Fredericksburg, Texas. It's called the 1776 Bar. And the woman who runs it, it's the most patriotic bar you'll ever go to. It's like a museum of Trump and conservative stuff. And it's hilarious also. And if they actually, the woman who runs it, she is part of it's the January 6th like rehome project or something. I'm blanking on the name, but basically a lot of people who were in prison for 4 years, the January 6ers, some of them lost everything because they weren't able to work. Some of them, their family members cut them off. And so the ones who, once they got out, were kind of struggling, she houses them. She has a whole tiny house community and
nice.
doing like this whole basically charity for people who were in prison for 4 years. It's amazing.
I remember
Yeah.
you telling me about her.
They have a chapel there. I mean, it's beautiful. The whole property is beautiful, but it's like the most based bar you'll ever go to. And of course, there's a lot of leftists who live in Fredericksburg now who've moved there from California and stuff. And so she deals with so much hate mail for being just a proud patriot. If you're ever in Texas, you got to go to that bar. So there you go.
I mean, you're killing me because I went to school in Fredericksburg, Virginia. So every time you say that, I keep thinking Fredericksburg. Yeah, it was rednecky, but I wouldn't say it was like the most. No, it's Texas. You're talking. Okay,
Texas.
By
Yeah.
the way, if your husband plays in Fredericksburg, Virginia, let me know so I can come
I
see.
will. I will.
There's plenty of people out there who would probably go see him.
I regret that I didn't go visit, I guess, what would be the second most based bar in America when Lauren Boebert still had hers, where they were all the hot chicks, including Lauren, just walking around open carrying on their waist while serving.
Damn.
That's awesome.
If I went that way, that would be my type.
That was their gimmick. Every single one of the servers, instead of it being a restaurant, it was wearing tight clothes with their guns displayed on their hips.
I appreciate that.
That's what Lauren did before she got into Congress. I think she's closed it down in the past 2 years, but it was pretty cool. I wish I had gone.
Lauren's been busy going to theaters, doing her job.
For someone to say it.
Miss Boebert?
Been new meaning to those Alanis Morissette lyrics.
I mean, the dude was one step away from Dave Coulier, so it works fine.
Right. So, how were the rest of your talks, Mike? I mean,
in California?
Seemed like you were hanging out with a ton of people just having fun and getting into trouble.
Those people are insane there. One of the events got shut down. They had people in masks screaming and protesting. You know what I hated even more about that, if I can rant for 1 second? I realized the one thing I hate even more than these crazy leftist bitches are weak-ass bitches on the right. There's the cowardly doormat type of conservatives. So this one event that we did that got shut down, the college Republicans didn't do what they were supposed to and didn't get the permit for the speakers, so they were able to just shout us down in unison, and there's nothing we could do. But so anyway, this guy is already on my nerves. But so the people start protesting, screaming everything at us. So we're kind of like, okay, well, we're going to go over there and talk to them and film it, and at least make the best of it and show these people for what they are. So this college Republicans guy was like, oh, stay away from them. We just really want to be better than that and take the high road. I'm like, no, I don't believe in the high road. So anyway, they shut the event down. As we're walking out, I hear this guy say, he goes, I'm going to go over there and shake their hand and thank them for participating in our democracy. Yeah.
Yep. We're just talking about the same weak types in the Senate and what they might do to the big beautiful bill over the next few weeks.
Brahma, can you share the screen I put up?
Yeah, is this the type?
Yeah, I was about to say, did any of them look like this?
Wait,
Let me see if I can.
Blow
I'm
it
gonna
up.
try to blow it up. I'm working on it.
Oh gosh, that guy.
That woman. That's a woman.
That's no guy.
Is that a woman?
Yeah,
this is.
This is the woman who didn't turn the tornado sirens on in St. Louis and got people killed.
FEMA.
You might be thinking to
Got
yourself,
a lot of people
whatever
killed.
happened to the people from the Goonies after the movie ended? And yes, they got
This
a
is
job
what
in
Sloth
government.
went on to.
Sloth decided to get certified and work for local FEMA offices.
You know what? There are certain things in this currently like this woke woke left dominant world that we're in, that everybody's afraid to say true things because they're like, oh well, that might offend, and well, it doesn't matter actually. There are some jobs where your size is an impediment, and this is one of them. I would think your FEMA, she's probably out in the field, like. I just
No,
don't
she was
think-
a director. All she had to do was hit a button to
Yeah.
have
Really?
the air raids, to
Yeah.
have the
Now, you're
fly
gonna
the
love-
sirens go off for the tornado.
You're gonna love this, Carrie.
She just couldn't do it.
They were at a diversity training seminar, and so the whole office wasn't there to hit the button when the tornadoes.
In Tornado Alley during tornado season, when your one responsibility is to warn people if there's tornadoes.
And they were at a diversity training.
Yeah,
And in this case, people did die.
Yeah,
This-
at least
I
2
didn't
people
know
died.
any of this. I didn't know
This
people
was just a
died.
couple weeks ago.
Where was this at?
St. Louis, Missouri.
Missouri.
Okay, so it sounds like something out of the Babylon Bee, though. It just sounds so.
It sounds like something out of California Fires.
Yeah,
I was going to
California
say that
Fires.
Babylon Bee is having a hard time keeping up with reality.
So,
Yep.
Carrie, your advice then I'm taking of it is at the first day I would have been working in that office, I should have seen her walk through the door and just gone, "Hey, you guys."
Baby Ruth.
Baby Ruth. Just start leaving them on her desk. Baby Ruth. No, but that's what we're dealing with. I mean, it's crazy. Good for you, Mike, for going out there and actually having the guts to stand up to. I'm gonna shake their hand and say thank you for participating.
Oh, I wanted to vomit when he
Was
said
this a
that.
tour that you were?
want you
Was this
dead.
the one that Matt Gates was on with you?
Yeah.
Or was that okay?
It was a different event in that little tour we did. But he wasn't on the college ones we did.
But can
Okay.
you tell me honestly, if you've been around him, how tall is the hair in person? Because it looks like it's like at least 5 inches coiffed up.
That's a good question. I didn't notice the hair because I was looking for the Botox, which is normal in person. He does not look like long
Is it?
legs in person.
Weird. So the camera does it to
That's what
him,
it looked
or
like.
the makeup artist does?
He said that it was just the makeup that they did on him, which normally I wouldn't believe that, but he looks normal in person.
Really?
Well, I don't know about normal, but he didn't look like.
He has looked like the Joker a few times in makeup.
Yeah,
so.
I think he's physically terrifying.
Yeah.
All right. So what I really want somebody who knows how to do this better to take the scene from My Best Friend's Wedding and over Rupert Everett put Matt Gates' face when he starts singing every time when I wake up I put on my makeup song.
By the way,
Yeah.
side note, that is the best rom-com ever. I love that movie.
You know what's great is that Julia Roberts is the worst person in that movie, and she doesn't win, and that's the difference.
That's why I love it.
Yeah, the difference between Hollywood writing in the '90s and now is Julia Roberts would have been the lead, and they would have had her get the guy.
Yep.
When she was nothing but terrible.
Yep.
And you can see where the difference happens, and it happened in my Sweet Home Alabama, because they had Patrick Dempsey be a completely upright good guy, and they somehow made him look bad for just not being the guy she wanted,
Mm-hmm.
and where she dumped him to go with her old husband. And that's where that's where the switch happened, why they can't do rom-coms now.
Which one were you talking about? The first one?
My Best Friend's Wedding. One of them.
Oh, okay.
Creme brulee
Didn't they
can
do
never
that-
be Jello, and
Yes!
Jello can never be creme brulee.
Movie so much.
Didn't they do
They
that?
just came out with a musical of it, and they race swapped her.
Didn't they do that in a Cusack movie with Catherine Zeta-Jones and Julia Roberts too?
Oh, you're thinking of America's Sweethearts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Catherine Zeta-Jones was an insufferable bitch in that movie, and they had her lose because John Cusack gets with Julia Roberts, who was Catherine Zeta-Jones' sister / assistant.
Well,
It's a great
throat
movie.
cancer.
I know
love
you've seen that movie
I know
because
I've seen
Christopher Walken was in it.
I had no idea you were such a
Damn
rom
straight.
com guy.
I love rom-coms. They used to be amazing.
I
Yeah.
Chad
agree.
worked in the theaters for
I worked at
a
AMC
long
for 10
time.
years. I saw everything.
I was just talking about. Have you ever seen You've Got Mail?
Of course. I
That
screened it.
movie is like my. So they filmed it all in my neighborhood that I grew up in when I was a kid. We would see them filming it all the time. I was there in the movie theater scene that they filmed. But like that movie is just basically a tour of the little neighborhood that I grew up in. And I just rewatched it, and it's kind of sad rewatching it because all these beautiful places in the movie are now like there are tents everywhere, and you see all these different locations, and it's like that's an abandoned building, that's an abandoned building, that's a Chase Bank. That it's just the neighborhood in
That's a
that movie
Chase
does
Bank.
not exist anymore.
So you're saying the through line of the movie that online sales were going to kill her little bookstore was basically true, and that it's a very dark, foreboding movie.
Democrat policies killed their city.
What are you talking about? I'm sure there's hotels teeming with illegal immigrants.
At the end of
On 59th Street, that was 67th Street, where his bookstore was. 59th is the hotel, so like not even 10 blocks away.
the end of that movie should have been like, there's this new site called Amazon. Oh, it'll never work.
Yeah.
People will want to buy a book.
Great movie, though.
That was peak Meg Ryan because it was right before she ruined herself with her affair with Russell Crowe on Proof of Life. So that was her
and then
last...
ruined her face with all the plastic
Well, that was
surgery.
because that was all right. So Mike might know because he's clearly, like she got dumped by Russell after she got used horribly. She thought he was gonna like get with her, and he was like, "Nah, this was just a like while we were filming thing, babe." And so she ends up getting divorced from Dennis Quaid. And then she's in the phase where she's older and so she's got to recapture that youthful look to get parts. Because the reason she kept getting romance parts was because she was the squeaky
Cute
clean
girl next door.
She was the America's sweetheart role. That's why she got paired with Tom Hanks all those times. And she ruined it. It was so publicly ruined that she had to try to transition to different role, and she couldn't pull it off. And so she just disappeared from movies for like a decade after
Now
that.
she just looks like she transitioned.
She looks like Nicole Kidman.
Yeah, I mean, Nicole Kidman, I don't know, yeah.
Her face has not moved since Moulin Rouge.
Man, she was so good in that movie. Screen that one too.
In that movie, she should have won the Oscar for it.
I know. By the way, if you ever see anyone cough blood into a white handkerchief in a movie, just say she's got tuberculosis. It's guaranteed. That's like the movie sign like that. If people in the chat want to know, there's movie tells where they're just going to show you something so they can shorthand it later. Blood in a handkerchief, whether it's Doc Holliday or it's Satine from Moulin Rouge, they got TB and they're dying. There's no coming back.
You know what movie I was just arguing with my friend about because he doesn't get it, but I truly think it's one of the greatest movies ever made. Have you seen Mulholland Drive?
Oh yeah.
Have you seen that?
Oh, I love David Lynch.
Love
Yes,
Mulholland
David
Drive.
Lynch.
I haven't seen the other one you were talking about though.
Which one?
Moulin Rouge?
Oh my God! Have you seen Chicago at least?
No.
Oh, Mikey's gonna get you some musicals for the weekend.
Hold on, I've got a great story about Chicago because my wife almost didn't become my wife because of that movie.
Why?
So I'm a manager of the AMC theaters at this point in time. And we had two movies opening up that week. One was Chicago, and the other was It's a Guy Thing with Jason Lee, which is a movie most people, and Julia Stiles, which most people haven't ever seen. Selma Blair was
I've
in it
seen
too.
most Jason Lee's stuff, and I don't recall that one.
Yeah.
So at the time, my wife, who was not even my girlfriend, I was like, all right. So I go up to her. I'm like, look, I have to screen this because when you're a manager, if no one signs up to screen it as a projectionist, because back then we had physical prints, so we had to check them to make sure they weren't bad or wrong. So I was like, all right, after the movie theater closes, I have to screen this because no one signed up for it. I was like, you want to go with me to this movie and watch it because I got no one else to watch it with me. And she's like, no, I'm going to Chicago.
Oh my God.
Because that was screening at the same time. I was like, all right, that's fine. I guess I was like, and so we don't start going out till like the next year, like a year later. And she was like, I didn't realize you were asking me out. I was like, I said I was by myself. I was asking you to go to the movie. Like, what do I have to fucking spell it out for you? Like, what? Like, and she's like, I just really didn't want to see that movie. I wanted to see Chicago.
Chicago's awesome.
And I was like, we didn't. That's like that delayed dating you by like a year.
Wow.
Because I was like, I thought I had gotten turned down, and it took me that long to realize that you didn't.
And she didn't realize you had interest in her in that way.
I was like, I looked at her. I was like, why else would I ask you to go see that stupid movie? It was terrible, by the way.
Isn't it funny how sometimes people, men and women, you just can't tell. But like, if you had a friend there, they could tell, but you can't.
Yeah, it was.
Well, men
it
are
was,
horrible at reading the signs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm usually pretty oblivious.
And in recent times, men are in danger if they think that they're reading the signs correctly. So
Right.
men just don't do anything anymore.
Yeah, and that was at work. I was totally running the risk of sexual harassment.
Yeah, me and
charges.
Chad both dated and then married people that we were their managers.
I told you, Brahma, I made sure she got promoted so it would be legal.
And I fired her.
That's amazing.
He fired.
That's amazing.
All I
She
did
only
was
worked.
say,
She only worked one day a week at that point. She was working at a bank as well. So, and the first month that I worked there, I didn't even know that she was an employee when she came in. She would come in just like completely wasted at like 1 a.m. and be like, "Yeah, the general manager says that I can have a pizza anytime I want." I was like, okay, I guess I'll make you a pizza. Then I figured out who she was a couple, like 2 or 3 weeks later.
Man.
And then, yeah, we started dating about 2 weeks after that.
my wife was so mad after I got her promoted because she had to do so much more work. And I was like,
That's amazing.
I was like, well, the rules say I couldn't date you when you were at a regular cashier level, but now that you're in the manager here, I just, I can date you. We're just not supposed to like do stuff at work or anything, right? So and she was like, yeah, but I have to do so much work now. She loved it.
I mean, I almost think it's worse that she got promoted just so that you could date her.
No. The people, they were deciding who was going to move up to being a manager. I put out her name and then I shut up, and everybody else said she would be great. And then they promoted her. So I just made sure she was mentioned.
And then
as
6
the
hours
person.
later, they were seen making out in the projector closet.
Isn't it so funny that this rule that's supposed to prevent any kind of like inappropriate office workplace stuff is actually causes people to fire people and promote them?
I mean, why can't we go back to where we can have bourbon in the middle of the day at our office and smack the secretary on the ass?
I know, Carrie. Like when I was like, look, I'm a manager. When I walk behind the concession stand, I'm not supposed. You're telling me I can't smack the girls' asses? They need to know they're doing a good job.
Yeah, little attaboy.
No, it was. I was actually super professional, and we had the stories of teenager sexual harassment cases. By the way, are the worst. The worst. I had so many, and I had to fire people because of it. And they're like, the teenagers had no idea. Like this is one of my favorite ones where I had to fire the guy that night. Like I bring the guy in to sit him down for our investigation. I've already gotten the statements from everyone else. I was like, hey, 17-year-old so-and-so, did you go to the box office window, slap an ad for pills to enhance a woman's breast size on the window, and yell at the cashier, you're pretty cute, but if you take these, I might date you?
Oh, that's amazing.
And
That
he's
sounds
like,
so Napoleon Dynamite.
and he was like, well, I mean, she is flat. And I'm like, so your statement that I want to make sure I'm getting officially right for the record is, yeah, but she is flat. Okay. Do you see what you did wrong here and why I'm going to... This was... What did Fellowship of the Ring? So that would have been what, 2003? So yeah, 2003. Because I remembered this box office cashier. She got super excited.
One, right?
Yeah, it's Fellowship.
2001 then.
2001.
I don't know why I know.
That's right. December 2001. It was the first big movie post 9/11. Right. So this would have been January 2001 during our slow period.
There's our political tie-in, 9/11.
Yep.
There you go.
Dude, man, I had to take down that Spider-Man poster that had them. I told you this.
Had
That
the Twin Towers.
and Sony ordered them destroyed. So we all immediately rolled them up and put them in containers and took them home.
Wow.
So
Like, collector's item.
I still have it. It's the first promo poster for Spider-Man was him peeking out like on a skyscraper, and in the lens of his eye was the Twin Towers.
Yep, I remember it.
Yeah.
Have you checked to see what that's worth now?
It's a couple $100, I think.
Wow.
If you have the real one sheet double sided with the light that can come through. So
Speaking of movies, by the way, guess where Carrie took me on the way back from the airport? The Texas Chainsaw Massacre house.
Original or remake?
Remake.
I heard.
The original one is far.
Well, we were driving, and it's not. I know where it's at. Mikey loves horror movies, and I hadn't even thought of it in advance. We were just driving by, and I was like, "Oh, hey, do you want to see the Texas Chainsaw Massacre house?" He was like, "What?" He freaked out. We got out. We took pictures. He was all excited.
I remember I screened that one. It was in Springfield after we.
I
bought
loved
that one.
that remake.
I thought it was really good. It did really well. God, that was the best theater to work at because AMC had bought General Cinemas, and General Cinemas, which was a Boston-based chain, had a whole bunch of food products that AMC didn't, like pizza. And all. This was around the early 2000s, so we still had on the order list pizzas and things that we could order for the concession stand, but AMC didn't sell them. So we accidentally ordered a case of pizzas like every couple months, and because we couldn't sell them, we just ate them. So you're like, if you put it in the pretzel oven for like 18 minutes, it came out perfect. So it was like,
there you go.
That's how you do things.
I still find it hilarious that Mikey likes horror movies because I've watched him jump scare way too many times to think that
I don't get scared. I'm just jumpy. There's a difference. People say I get scared easily. I don't get scared. I'm just jumpy.
Yeah. I've made a
just
promise.
A little nervous.
Scare him while he's here. Okay.
You want a jump scare, man? Blair Witch, right, was in our neighborhood. Like around here in Northern Virginia, where that stuff allegedly happened, was right over the line in Burkittsville, Maryland. And so everybody here was convinced because you'd hear everyone would be like, "Yeah, my cousin knew those guys." It was like BS. This was fake, right? But everyone was like, "Oh yeah, we remember that." So everyone was on edge, and so the day after that movie opened, we rigged it so one of the projectionists who was really scared of that movie, when he opened the door, one of the little stick figure things fell down, like right in his face, and he ran screaming like a little girl. That's so good. Oh, Blair Witch was the worst.
Will there ever be another marketing campaign like that though? Because it was so early in the internet that
they had a website
the whole history of the Blair Witch was on a website. If you were paying any attention, you went to the BlairWitchProject.com and got the whole story, and they really did try to make you think that this was an actual found footage thing.
Yeah,
I could see it being.
It would not work anymore for anything else. But I mean,
Sci-Fi
that one
Channel
time
did
it came together so great.
Documentary on the crew getting like one of those.
I remember
journey into mystery type things.
I was so excited for the movie that when I got there and there were only like 3 seats left in the front row, I still went and got the tickets and went in, even though there's not a chance in hell you can get me to sit in the front row for almost anything.
Yeah,
and it was horrible.
It's being effective if you think it's real, but I remember I saw it with my dad in the movie theater, but it was huge at that point. It made like 200 million, so we were like all excited to see this crazy movie, and then we saw it and we're like, that's it.
And it was a horrible, horrible movie.
Yeah, the truth of the matter is
the was very effective.
The Ring was a way better horror movie of that era.
What was
right? But it was
The Ring.
The Ring.
Oh, I loved The Ring.
Yeah,
but a completely different thing, though. I mean, this was like the first time that they had done a marketing blitz like this, and really the only time you could get away with it, because the first time is the only time people are going to fall for anything. Even if you weren't inclined to believe in any kind of hauntings or anything like that. I mean, was it just, some serial killer out in the woods? Who knows? But yeah, then the movie was horrible.
You can't do that anymore.
Nope.
Okay, we have.
All right, now you can do deep fakes.
Oh gosh, I that's a whole nother can of worms.
God.
I really want to if you ever want to have an AI bitch fest, let me know. We have to go though because I'm starving now, and we have to go
All
make
right.
steak.
I had no idea though you guys were like such movie. You got to come on my show sometime.
Chad's
Sure.
really good at the movies. I know some.
I was
But
terrible. I
we'd
looked at
we'd
on
both
the
be happy to come on
AFI
anytime.
Top 100. I totally haven't seen 4.
What's that?
Said on the AFI Top 100 movies, I haven't seen 4, and they're all the like silent films you can't even get anymore. So
You know what is the most underrated movie ever that I just rewatched?
What?
I stand by. I will die on this hill. It's underrated. Titanic.
Oh, I love that movie.
I love that movie.
What? It's
that's
good.
where we'll disagree. I came out of the screening. It was our staff show for our holiday party, and I was like, "That shit's never gonna make its money back. It's too long and it sucks."
Oh, it's amazing.
It's amazing.
I
There
was
should never
I
be a
was so
movie
wrong.
like that.
Oh, Mike, let me tell you the fun story.
You two were the demographic for it. I mean,
We had like that
I-
show sold that
Yeah.
movie sold tickets for months, right? We were in a mall, so we had girls, teenage girls. There was one who bought, she would always buy 2 tickets, and she would bring in from the mall the guys who would do the sketches of like the celebrities, and she bought the one of Leonardo DiCaprio's Jack, and she would sit it next to her in the theater on the chair, and she would watch it every week with the with the picture next to her.
We had friends like that. Okay, so when I was a kid, so that movie came out when I was, I don't know, what year was that? Like 94?
That was 1997.
97?
Yeah, 97.
Okay, so I was already in college, my first year of college then. But before that, I had friends who were really into Kevin Costner. I had one friend. This is like when we were preteens, like maybe 11, 12, 13, and loved like Dances with Wolves, Robin Hood, Robin Hood, and all the anyway. And so she would do.
Did she drag you to the Postman?
No, but she had
Good
a
job.
Kevin Costner action figure from Robin Hood, and on his birthday every year, she would make him a cupcake, and like she took that Kevin Costner action figure with her everywhere, kind of like that girl in the Leonardo DiCaprio picture.
Man, if you fully activate teen girls, your movie's gonna like when Titanic. In addition to that, I would love walking in at the end scene, when they're floating on the door,
Yeah.
because the stuff you would hear is great. Like I told Brahma this before.
Bitch, you get off.
Like, bitch, that cow, get off that door. They would just yell. They hated her. They absolutely hated her. Like they blamed her, this
blamed her.
actress,
I
for
did.
killing their guy.
I did. I was furious with her.
He could have paid.
In the end, she still turned out to be a horrible human being who threw away that diamond for a guy she had a fling with, rather than giving it to her family that she had after that short weekend fling or cruise fling. Because I'm sure that family probably could have used some of that money.
I think after the story was done, the granddaughter was like, "Did you ever love Grandpa?" And she was like, "No, I didn't. I settled."
What are we to you? Settled.
I settled.
Not once.
It was the Great Depression. I needed a husband. We all make compromises, but Jack was lovely.
I'm gonna go cook at least.
Yeah.
You can
No,
say
I'll
it if you
go
want.
over.
Okay.
Yeah, but you guys.
No, if you guys got to go, that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was so good to see you guys, though. We gotta do some things soon.
Yeah.
Thank you for
absolutely.
letting us interrupt with our chaos.
No problem at all.
It
It's
was
amazing how in our sphere, even if you're doing a political show, we all end up talking about movies in some way, right? Everybody in our chat, I'm sure, is fine.
Well, I was vibing in your chat with all the people who love David Lynch. Well, I'll have to come back on. Okay, we gotta go. We're gonna go eat steak.
Love you guys.
That's very Texas.
Night.
I knew that.
Have a good one.
Bye, guys. Oh, good. It let you take them off the stage. I was worried that Evie Mux would like freak out.
I would have figured it out one way or another.
All right. So the last 2 things we had, I know that we talked about, was Rubio testifying in the DC shooting.
Yeah.
It's hard to transition to either one of those.
Rubio Senate hearing, probably the funniest clip we've got. So, I mean, the DC shooting we've kind of already done a bit on. I mean,
just to specify, man, it's like another leftist going nuts, and that's why their name won't be in the media. That's why they'll memory hole the reasons for it. it'll just be used as an excuse to push probably hate crime bills, but they're not
Yeah,
going to talk about what's going on.
The Free Palestine wing of the Democrat Party is going to get them in a lot of trouble over the next few years.
Which is why if I was Josh Shapiro, I would change parties. It's just, I mean,
well, if he wants to have a political future, yeah.
There's no practical way. I mean, if you look at what happened to Joe Lieberman, even when did he run? Was it 2012? No, 2016. When it was an open or no, 2008.
Well, he ran as the VP candidate for who?
For Gore.
For
he was
Gore. Yeah.
So no, I think it was 2004 against and then Kerry ended up getting the nomination. But even as far back as 2004, the Democratic Party was very uncomfortable with
anti-Semitic,
having a Jewish person heading their ticket. I mean, I get that people have historical ties, like in whatever, but if you're Shapiro and you're looking at just the makeup of Pennsylvania and what would happen, he would have a pretty solid future of moving from governor to probably senator fairly easy, because Fetterman's days are numbered.
Yeah, he's gone a little bit too base since he had the stroke.
Now they're saying he's completely going full like special. But either what I'm getting at is, if you're Shapiro, you've got no ability to move up beyond your and even as a governor, you might run into trouble from the primary side if someone moves in because of your Jewish heritage.
But I think he also believes all of their BS wholeheartedly.
See, this is where I don't think I doubt there is no true believer politician.
Glenn Jacobs.
That's true. Kane
from the WWE.
He should
be beyond measure.
Yeah, Kane's a good one.
And he doesn't need it's the people like Trump and like Glenn Jacobs who are wealthy beyond belief outside of politics that then get into politics that that's their true beliefs that they're telling you. I mean, technically, even what's his face? I'm just asking questions. I mean, sure, he's a freaking idiot, but I mean, he ran on the things that he actually believed, and he did get office, and what is his name?
Kane or
no? No, I'm just asking questions.
Oh, Jesse Ventura.
Jesse the Body Ventura. Jesse the Governor Ventura. But I mean, he probably was running on the things he actually believed at the time.
So I see Rosa in chat. Who are the Dems' top 2028 candidates anyway? AOC question mark.
According to David Hogg, it is Jasmine Crockett.
So the 2028 Democratic primary is going to be a show. I think the Republican one. All right, so the Republican one, there's a lot of people who might register to run, but effectively, it's probably going to be a 2 or 3 person race.
Rubio, Vance,
and I don't even think DeSantis has a chance anymore. It might be someone else.
His window is moved another 10 to 12, or well, no, probably 12 to 16 years.
Yeah,
which is still young enough.
Yeah, Eric brings up a point that it could be that Newsom is one of the top contenders. Newsom has a lot of money behind him, and he's slick on camera, but he's got the record. The California record is a giant albatross that is just going to be a problem,
just like it was for Kamala.
Like, honestly, the person who I would normally be more worried about, again, would have been Josh Shapiro out of Pennsylvania. It's going to be, but I would have said Whitmer out of Michigan until she got all trumped.
She got Trumpified.
Even
though she didn't change any of her positions, she has been too cozy with him, and they will not accept that.
Here's where you're going to see if the Democrats are being rational or not. If they're being rational, it's going to be a lot like 1992, where they're coming out of possibly, at the time, 12 years of Reagan into H.W. Bush. And because of the Democratic liberal brand being so toxic, they shifted and went with a Southern Blue Dog Democrat governor named Bill Clinton, who ran a centrist campaign about being for the death penalty, being for all these other things, and they got him elected because of Ross Perot.
Well, really, Bill was essentially a moderate centrist.
Yeah.
In the way he governed too, for the most part, especially once he had to accept Newt Gingrich's
Bill Clinton
deal for America.
Bill Clinton was a whore for popularity, so
his wife is the ideologue.
He was the ideologue. Bill Clinton wanted to be successful, and by successful I mean a popular president with and so he it's only Bill Clinton was
blowjobs.
The era of big government is over. He wanted to be popular enough so when the chubby girl got outed for giving him the BJ in office, his ratings went up, and they did, which is crazy. But I think if you're looking at a repeat where they're trying to learn the lesson of the past on how to attack the MAGA movement that is actually nationally popular, it would be Andy Bashir would be who they nominate. A blue dog centrist Southern Democrat who won in a red state as a governor, doesn't have any of the transy issues that he has to go deal with. But they're not. But that's how far gone they are. I don't.
But at this point, they're not. They haven't demonstrated that they've learned the lesson yet. So, yeah, chances are they will run an AOC or a Jasmine Crockett. Real quick, this is, DNC Vice Chair David Hogg, who we all can't stand. Look at his stick thin arms.
Well, man, Lindsay the geek, real cynical geek, really nails it. Bill was Robert Baratheon, and Hillary was Cersei Lannister.
Pretty much. I mean, their marriage was literally one for power.
But instead
he
of
wanted to be popular, she wanted him to get popular so that then at some point she could try to get into the presidency.
Yeah,
because it wasn't going to be her first.
Yeah, instead of her brother, it would have been Huma.
Yeah. Huma Soros.
Oh, yeah.
Jasmine Crockett, I love her. She is amazing.
Oh, we've got Twitter doing Twitter things.
Is him saying this on the Breakfast Club like saying I have black people are some of my best friends?
Probably.
Like, hey, Charlemagne the God, I love black people.
Let me see if I can refresh and get it to actually work.
X has been having, and as most people know, issues the last 3-4 days.
Yes, it has.
Because somebody lit on fire one of their servers.
She is amazing.
Nope, it's pausing the exact same place. So I think we're not going to be able to do that one tonight. Sorry, folks. But yeah, David Hogg thinks Jasmine Crockett would be a great candidate for the Dems. We haven't done a deep dive on Crockett, but she very much does love to talk in the Ebonics. When just a few years ago, she was able to speak perfect English when she was in college. It is all an act.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Clintons were your ring rates. All right. So this video.
But also, real quick before we go on to this, I like that somebody asked a question in the chat that we can answer, because we want to make that. I think it was Rosa who asked. We want to make that part of the show, especially since we've got a little bit more time. So if you guys have questions that you want to bring to us, we may not always have an answer, but we would love to have like a 10-15 minute Q&A type thing. Ask us any political thing.
Yep. And if you do it via super chat, it is guaranteed to get asked.
Yeah.
Sometimes we'll miss the regular ones, but if it's via super chat, we won't miss it. Just saying.
That's Chad shilling, but I agree.
It's like, I'm not the one doing it, but I endorse it.
It is my channel, so I'll allow it.
Did you know that Brahma's channel also has memberships that you can get? Just saying, they're also.
In fact, Eric K donated about 5 to 10 last night, I believe. So some people like Slender Dad woke up with a membership today.
Nice. All right, so this, by the way, is Rubio has been. I've said it so many times. He's been such a pleasant surprise on how
Most impressive person in outside of Trump and Vance. Most impressive person.
If this was the SAT question, it would be Bongino is to disappointment as blank is to exceeding expectations. Rubio would be the answer you fill in there, because
Correct.
Bongino and Patel are the worst, biggest disappointments. Just throwing that out there too.
I am hoping that the only reason that they're doing what they're doing is because they're still in the middle of investigating stuff, or still in the middle of trying to clear out people before they start bringing stuff out. But it hasn't been a good look.
No, especially the Epstein could definitely committed suicide statement. Here we go. So this is Chris Van Hollen, who's the senator from Maryland. He was the one who famously went down to El Salvador and had happy hour with our MS-13 gangbanger, human trafficker, wife beater, who he just referred to as a constituent Maryland man. And so this is the tail end. So every senator in the hearing gets like 7 minutes to ask questions. Van Hollen spent the 7 minutes just grandstanding. So this is the tail end of him, and then Rubio taking time to answer, and that's the setup for the clip.
I have to tell you directly and personally that I regret voting for you for Secretary of State. I yield back.
May I respond?
You may sit.
Well, first of all, your regret for voting for me confirms I'm doing a good job, based on what I know.
Well, that's
about
just
your
a
record
flippant
and what you
statement,
do.
Mr. Secretary.
And I
So he immediately
yielded.
He immediately opens it up with the right hand to the face. I'm doing, because you're mad, I'm doing a good job. And then
The
Rubio,
fact that you're angry says I'm doing the right thing. Yep.
just look, this is a 4-minute clip because Rubio takes the next 4 minutes to basically prison grape Senator Van Hollen on every issue that he's tried to demagogue. This is hilarious.
And Van Hollen just keeps interrupting after he yielded because his time is done.
Your time's up, Senator, and willfully used, I might add.
That was the chair of the
Woefully
committee.
used.
That was the chair of the committee, yeah.
Your remarks do not represent the view of this committee.
Well, Mr.
Secretary, please.
Well, I'd like to. I can't respond to everything he said because much of these are untrue, but I'll go through a few. First of all, I'm actually very proud.
He's getting a goddamn list. He's like, I've got all the things I'm ready to just destroy you on, so here we go.
Of the work we've done with USAID, for example, I don't regret cutting $10 million for male circumcisions in Mozambique. I don't know how that makes us stronger and more prosperous as a nation. I don't regret psychosocial support services.
I raised
USAID.
Sudan, Mr. Secretary.
Can I respond, Mr.
Senator,
Chairman, or do I?
Senator, I'd ask you to suspend. You had 7 straight minutes.
I chose
railing
to
on-
use my time that way, Mr. Chairman. That's my right to
Please
use my
suspend.
time.
And now the time has been
Well, I
given
can
to
go on. I mean,
Rubio
there's
to
other things here.
respond.
We spent $227,000 for Big Cat's YouTube channel from USAID. We spent.
Why aren't they sponsoring our YouTube channel, Brahma?
Because USAID was not sponsoring channels like ours.
I know. I know.
$14 million for social cohesion in Mali, whatever the hell that means. So I can go on and on. I got the list here, and there's more. I didn't even bring the whole list. In the case of El
Circumcisions?
Salvador, absolutely. Absolutely. We deported gang members.
This is where
gang
he
members,
just
including the
throws
one
them.
you had a margarita with. And that guy is a human trafficker, and that guy is a gangbanger, and the evidence is going to be clear.
Pause
In
it
the
real
days to
quick.
come, you're gonna-
So remember last week we were talking about, well, it may have been 2 weeks ago. We were talking about the judge who let the guy out the back door. And we were talking about the senator that was having drinks and having the guy live with him and basically daring Holman to come after him. That's this guy who was having drinks, having margaritas.
No. This wasn't he. That was a different. That was a.
That was a different one.
That was a New Mexico a judge.
Okay, I thought this was the one that
this
was
is-
harboring. The senator that was harboring the illegal.
No, Van Hollen flew down on the taxpayer dime.
Oh,
To
he's the
El
one that went
Salvador.
and made the show down
Yeah.
there.
Remember,
after
they were and then the El Salvadorian president
Maryland man and everything.
drove the guy
Yeah.
from CCOT over to like a 5-star hotel because he's like, if we're gonna have pictures of El Salvador on the news, we're gonna make it look
Yeah.
beautiful.
Okay.
And I'm telling you, Van Hollen was like, I object.
Got him mixed
I
up.
object. I had a mojito. It was not a margarita. This man is lying.
who you went to
Look,
defend.
I'm sorry,
please,
Mr. Chairman.
Secretary
No.
Rubio has the floor.
Mr. Chairman, he can't make unsubstantiated comments
Senator,
like that.
Secretary Rubio has the floor. You had
Secretary
your time.
Rubio should take that testimony to the federal court of the
Senator?
United States because
Well,
he hasn't done it under oath.
Here's another point, okay? There is a division in our government between the federal
Man,
branch
he
and the
got
judicial
John
branch.
Cornyn to put
No
his phone
judge
down and
in the
pay
judicial
attention.
branch cannot tell me or the
Right.
president how to conduct foreign policy. No judge can tell me how I have to outreach to a foreign partner or what I need to say to them. And if I do reach to that foreign partner and talk to them, I have under no obligation to share that with the judiciary branch. Just like a judge cannot order me to negotiate with a foreign minister of Russia, they cannot order me to negotiate with a foreign minister or the president of El Salvador. And if I did negotiate with them, which we have responded to them, and we've told them we've had communications with the president of El Salvador, I am under no obligation under our division of powers in this country and to share with the judicial branch how I conducted diplomacy of the United States. It would actually be counterproductive. If I started sharing with courts, or frankly, with the media, my conversations with foreign leaders and all of their details, no foreign leader would talk to me again, and we would break trust with them. So I have complied with every court order.
Low
What I
Spec
won't
has
comply
rated
with
us
is an
over on
order
Rumble.
to
Thank you.
disclose what I'm saying and what we're talking about with a foreign leader, because then they won't talk to me. Diplomacy doesn't work that way.
Diplomacy doesn't work that way. I don't have to tell you shit. I don't have to do anything that you want.
Judges are not in charge of, foreign policy.
That is a specifically granted Article 2 power.
Executive branch has all control over foreign policy.
Yep.
They are the ones who do the negotiating. They're the ones who talk to to other countries. It is not the job of some low-level judge to tell the executive what they can and cannot do with foreign policy.
Exactly. And that's where Rubio's...
It's going to come to a head.
Rubio is laying it out so perfect. Like, you don't get to dictate Article 2 powers, even if you're a judge.
Yep.
About the student visas, let me say this. I don't deport anybody, and I don't snatch anybody. The State Department does not have officers in the street snatching everybody. What I do is revoke visas, and it's very simple. A visa...
I'm here to chew bubblegum and revoke visas, and I'm all out of bubblegum.
And say the word snatch as often as I can.
This is so awesome. Like the spit coming up about the visas where he's like, I asked for another list.
It's not a right. It is a privilege. People apply for student visas to come into the United States and study. And if you tell me that you're coming to the United States to lead campus crusades, to take over libraries and try to burn down buildings and acts of violence, we're not going to give you a visa.
Is that what Ms. Ozturk did?
We're not going to give you a visa.
Is that what she did?
Come on,
Mr.
Why
Secretary.
is he still
and every
talking?
single one of these
blowing
cases, the
smoke
factors
here
are
now.
different.
Well, he's
The
not
bottom
even
line is
entertaining
if you're
enough to
here
get Cory
stir
Booker to
trouble on
put
our
his phone
campuses,
down.
We will deny you a visa. And if you
Does
have
the
a
First
visa,
Amendment
and we find
apply
you,
to
we'll
I am
revoke it.
Spartacus.
And we're going to do more. There are more coming. We're going to continue to
There's more coming. Better get ready.
revoke the visas of people who are here as guests and are disrupting our higher education facilities. People are paying money. These kids pay money to go to school, and they have to walk through a
Writing an
bunch of
op-ed
lunatics
to the
who are
tough
here on student
newspapers
visas.
disrupting the
Simple
foreign
as
policy of the United
I want to
States.
do more. I hope we can
That's
find more of these people.
pathetic, Mr.
In fact, the other day, some guys led a riot. I forgot what university it was, and I asked, please, can you find the arrest records of all the people that were arrested at that riot at that campus? Because if any of them have a visa, we're going to revoke
I
it.
feel so much safer
All right,
when you lock up people like Ms. Ozturk, Ms. Secretary.
We've had enough.
I feel whatever. Van Hollen's like, I'm never going to be president. I'm never going to be Secretary of State. Womp womp.
Cory Booker with the crazy eyes over the shoulder.
Booker's like, I'm trying to run for president, and I'm in this shock. Fuck.
Yep. Also somebody who has great aspirations to try to be the nominee in the next go around.
Somebody who got dumped by Ahsoka Tano.
Rosario Dawson?
Ahsoka Tano was too good for him. She is a really... Never mind. I was about to comment on...
And if you saw Clerks 2, she can be kinky.
I was going to go more for the God-given assets, but Brahma went with the other direction. But Rubio is such a pleasant surprise. He's been doing great, and Tulsi doing the Lord's work over at DNI has officially pulled and fired a bunch of people and is taking over the presidential daily briefing process. They're doing the actual work to really root out the bad stuff that's going on. So Tulsi's doing.
Harmeet has gotten a ton of people to quit.
Yeah, that's why I don't
Where
give.
Bondi's not doing anything, Harmeet Dillon is getting people to quit left and right.
Well, Bondi is. I will give Bondi credit in the fact that she is putting out fires as they happen. What she's doing, and you can see it if you're paying, especially if you're two-way and paying attention to the legal stuff going on. She's looking for where some of these U.S. attorneys are submitting stupid briefs and cases against the MAGA movement. There's a just one that happened this week where they pulled, and this was on suppressors. A U.S. attorney had filed paperwork saying that suppressors were accessories and therefore regulate, et cetera, et cetera. And she pulled that. They got rid of that attorney. They pulled that brief back and filed a new one saying that suppressors are integral to the gun and are protected by the Second Amendment. And they gave a really half-hearted reason why it should be why the NFA should apply to it. And a lot of people reading that are basically saying they went back, and the reason they didn't just withdraw the case is because they want a ruling to say suppressors are protected by the Second Amendment. So they kept the case alive, but they gave the most half-assed bullshit like defense of them that the court is going to have to either make up their own reasoning entirely, or they are going to rule that suppressors are a protected in common use item and therefore
accessory.
That are, just like a magazine, just like ammunition.
Ultimately, it's to save your hearing. I mean, it's not like most people are using suppressors to go around as a hitman and kill everybody. It's mostly to protect your own hearing.
So yes, here's the thing. If you get a 22 with subsonic ammunition with a long suppressor, you can quiet that thing to make it Hollywood quiet. That's why hitmen who worked for the mafia used 22s. People who are familiar with guns know that's one step up from a BB is the 22 round.
Yeah, hitmen get up close and
it's lethal if you get right up
like Luigi.
Yeah, if you get right up close and can pop and in the back of the head. A person who's doing self-defense is not using that loadout. Yeah, and here's the other dirty little secret. Someone who works for a living doing that kind of job to make their living assassinating people, where they're that concerned with doing a subsonic 22 loadout with a suppressor to be super quiet so they don't disturb anybody. Suppressors can be made fairly easily from home components, and no one would ever know. So you're not stopping anybody who wants to be a criminal by making it a tax item with a registration process. You're only impacting law-abiding citizens. Like when you ban machine guns and you keep not that I'm saying we should have machine guns, but as an example, there are modifications you can do.
Technically, we're not disallowed from having machine guns based on the Second Amendment.
Not from the Second Amendment, by acts of Congress. We are disallowed.
I know we are disallowed now, but they also say you're not supposed to have a cannon. But we were specifically able to have cannons.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, there was a big thing where during the Revolutionary War, Washington enlisted the aid of a private citizen to use his cannonade that was available to help win battles. So, but
when they say, the point is when they say that, well, they meant like musket rifles. No, it was whatever artillery was available at the time. Back at that time, they basically said, yes, private citizens could have them. I mean, cannons were the nukes. I mean,
here's the dirty secret. Like the musket of the era was the AR-15 of the era. It was the common use rifle of the military. That's if you want to take that logic, what the founders were saying was legal was I should be able to
what the military was using on an everyday basis.
Yeah, with what the founders are saying, I should be able to purchase a select fire AR-15 that can go from semi-automatic to burst, because that's the same thing the Army has. I see Average Patriot Nerd saying, I need a suppressor for my 30-30. Oh yeah, that would be a bad 30-30. I mean, now on the other hand, if you're using a lever action 30-30 is a common lever action round, you can get a Henry X or other tactical levers in 357, which also shoots 38 special. Those are usually threaded barrels, and a 38 special round through a suppressor is also Hollywood quiet.
Real quick, membership chat. JB celebrates 1 month of membership. Hail the bullpen. Hail to you, sir. Cheers.
I forget. Do I have membership chats? I think I don't ever use them because I'm on the show.
Neither do I.
I've
cut memberships on so many freaking shows because I'm always in chats. And there's a few that I actually pay for, my good friends, but I never remember to use the membership chat. But that is a perk of membership on the channel, and I do actually watch for them. Even though it doesn't highlight them back here, I actually have to watch for them. So Little Chad celebrates 6 months of membership. I remembered I have this. It's like Eric K last night. He gives 5 memberships. One of the memberships goes to him. So then he super chatted $2 and said, "Thank you, Eric K, for the membership. You are awesome."
I see Davina in there saying, I think the lever action revival is due to the legality rather than actual demand. If semi-autos were legal in more jurisdictions, people would get them. This is true. There is no state in the country where lever action rifles are banned. So they are some kind of an alternative that if you get the tactical and versions of them with railings and Picatinny and MOE, you can do a lot of stuff with them. Here's the other thing. I wanted a lever action basically my entire life because there's no more almost American gun than a cowboy revolver or a lever action rifle.
It's what we had as kids for toys.
Yeah, I mean, they're the guns that won the West. The lever action repeating rifle.
You had that and the armor. What was the armor from the Bible? I can't remember, but you could buy it at stores where you had the chest plate, a sword, a helmet.
Were you being a gladiator? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but when you shoot a lever action rifle and you actually do the reload with the lever, you just want to be like America and shoot America. I have more fun shooting my lever action. My 2 most fun guns to shoot are my lever action 357 Henry X and my M&P 1522, which is an AR-15 chambered in 22 long rifle. So it costs nothing to shoot. And a magazine holds like 30 rounds, and you can pop those things off. Like, you want to talk about being really fast with the trigger. I can empty that magazine in seconds. And because it's a 22, there's like no recoil. And it's just, you can just be dead on the bullseye, like at 25, 50 yards, and just have a lot of fun shooting that thing. Little brass just flying out as you're just pop, 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 pop. Those are the 2 most fun guns to shoot. But the lever action, just when you reload that and you hear the chunk chunk with the lever, it's just fun. It's just America. That's how it should be.
Smokey celebrates 2 months of membership. I forgot about this. Ha ha. Everybody's remembering their member chats now.
Poor Smokey lives in a country where he's not allowed to have these kinds of fun.
Well, technically, I live in a state where it's illegal to misgender somebody now or dead name them. So I'm just looking for somebody to dead name.
Yeah. Well, let's think of things we can dead name. You can call it Twitter.
Oh, I do that all the time.
That's dead naming.
Actually, there is somebody from high school that I could dead name.
One of your high school people went transy?
From my sister's class. But
I blame your sister.
Can't say the name because, not because I can't dead name, but because that's an actual person's name. And we don't even do that when we're telling stories about our friends. We make up fake names for them. Toxic Man Flu gifted 5 Brahma Bowl memberships. Thank you very much, sir. It's only what, 10 hours till 14 hours till I'm on with Toxic Man Flu and Comics Division on Monday Night Meltdown.
Nice. Average Patriot Nerd, I have the Marlin lever action 30-30 for deer hunting. You know, that's one of the ways, Chris Pratt was when I saw behind the scenes thing on the shooting of Jurassic World, the first, reboot movie he did. And the guys were talking about how when Chris Pratt came to set, he made them change the gun that his character had. Cause he was like, there's no way you could shoot a big ass dinosaur with that gun. He made them get a 45-70 because he was like, no, you need a gun that can take it. It's a 45-70 government, which is the big ass round, like an elephant gun round, and it's a lever action. So that's what he was like. No, this is the gun he would have if he was worried about dinosaurs. And so they switched, the armorer changed it out, and that's the one he was using in the movie because he was actually, gun knowledgeable enough to say, on big game or dinosaurs or whatever, you're not going to use the small caliber rifle. No. Change it.
Yeah, bounce off. Speaking of armorers, the Rust Armorer was released this week.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that.
14 months out of 18.
Yeah, she was 14.
Went through a drug program and was released on, good behavior.
One of the reasons you also you parole people when you feel like there's not a chance of recidivism. The odds of her being an
she's not getting a job.
Where she's going to be putting live rounds into a gun that Alec Baldwin can irresponsibly point and shoot at somebody with. I still
that specific mix will probably never happen again. Alec Baldwin might still shoot somebody, but it won't be with that armor.
Alec Baldwin might up on they might invite her to his reality show with the ratings needing a boost. So
he has a reality show?
Doesn't he? Isn't he doing one with his wife?
Hilaria.
Whose accent goes in and out depending.
Because her actual name is Hillary and she grew up in New York. I think New York. But yeah, she did go on a exchange student trip over to Spain, and that's why she became Hilaria and speaks with whatever accent that's supposed to be. And even though she speaks fluent English, is like how you say mango.
Yep.
Also, I know Tox has been a little bit blackpilled on the administration lately. I know he also hates the term blackpilled, but I think the suppressors being in the big beautiful bill might actually make him a little bit happy.
Oh, I mean, who's not going to be happy? I'm going to be
everybody on the left.
That's true. So the events where somebody will suddenly use a suppressor in some kind of bad events will go off the scale as soon as those get moved in. Before it's probably even officially legalized, it'll just happen so that they can be like, see what happens? We told you.
Oh, also, wasn't it today or yesterday that was George Floyd's 5-year anniversary of sobriety?
I know the WNBA took a moment of silence for it in Minnesota.
Oh. I also saw that Griner, who we traded what was his name? The Warlord of Death, or
when you said what was his name, I was about to say Brittany Griner.
Brittany Griner was the dude traded for, but also that Warlord guy. Yeah, she now has a problem with Caitlin Clark.
Yeah, well, duh. She's
the only thing keeping the WNBA afloat in any way.
The idea, like, this is one thing I'll say that NBA proper got right, is when they have superstars, they make sure superstars are taken care of, because the superstars make the league, right? You want little kids to, wear buy those jerseys, want to be, players, whatever.
Sure.
The NBA is known for, like, Jordan got calls, LeBron got calls, Johnson got calls, Bird got calls. Like, they took care of their guys. There is no way if Caitlin Clark was an NBA superstar, they would be letting the rest of the league get away with manhandling that. Like, when the
They
Cleveland
love
Cavaliers.
this Angel Reese versus Caitlin Clark thing.
Yeah, I'll give you an
They
example though.
love
Like,
it.
the New York Knicks, Cleveland Cavaliers in the early 90s pushed trap defenses that were especially bothersome to Jordan, and he didn't like it. So the NBA immediately changed the rules to start banning the defensive techniques they were using, so that the Bulls, it wouldn't keep Michael Jordan from going off in games.
Right.
Because they were like, no, we don't sell tickets based on defense, right? We sell tickets
Well,
with
it's like
Jordan.
the NHL making the goalie pad sizes smaller, so there's more offense. I mean, but yes, you also have the situation just last week where Rupe Hintz got slashed really, really bad, and DeBoer, the coach for Dallas, was like, if that was McDavid, that would have been a 5-minute major and probably kicked out of the game. But since it's Rupe Hintz, you do nothing. They also protect their stars.
And I don't have any problem with leagues doing that. That's
I do if it affects the outcome of the game in a significant way.
I mean, if you want to talk about impact to the outcome of the game, we're going to have to get into the fact that they're all getting knee deep in with gambling operations.
Yeah,
if
I know.
So if they're doing that, then they can deal with protecting their superstars. But it's the same thing Gretzky used to get protected. It's not new.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not new at all. The difference was back in the old days, the way they would protect their superstars, they would get a goon on the line who would make you pay. If you went out of line with the superstar, we're going to have our guy just start doing things. The NHL purposefully moved away from the goon solution to the referee solution.
Which has not done well for the game. So just browsing through Twitter, Jubilee made a very, very bad mistake. Apparently,
are you talking about Jordan Peterson as their Christian?
Yeah,
that's a bad choice.
Christian versus 20 atheists, and Jordan Peterson has never professed to be a Christian in any way. And apparently, at some point in the talk, somebody asked him, "So this is Christian versus atheists. Are you a Christian or not?" And he said, "I could be either one."
Yeah, you say that. I didn't say that. It's like
I like Jordan. He's never professed to be a Christian. I don't know why you would put him in as the Christian versus atheist. I mean, get Charlie Kirk or somebody else, but I mean, get, Matt Walsh, Michael Knowles.
So
but Jordan Peterson, no.
I got a nice white pill moment I found on X for you there, Brahma.
The dude,
John Goodman, got his star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
He finally made enough money to pay for one, huh?
Yep. So Jeff Bridges shows up with him, right, to do part of the presentation,
and puts on the dude's sweater.
It's like, here, hold the bowling ball bag, right?
I think that's the bag of undies, the whites.
Was it?
I don't know.
He's like, "You're out of your depth there, John. Here, let me show you." He's still got the sweater.
Well, it was his clothes that he used as a wardrobe.
That's got to be in the Smithsonian when you should donate that. Well, that's just your opinion, man.
Walter, John, is Well, he's a good actor. He's a good man.
Bridges is so
John
toasted
Goodman,
out of his mind at all points.
Yeah. He needed a White Russian to lubricate.
Yeah. What is your favorite role from him outside of Lebowski?
Outside of Lebowski?
Yeah.
There's a lot. I mean, you got Tron, right, where he's Flynn. So that
Sure.
was a pretty good one. You've got Starman, where where it's a good one. But I think let me find the year it came out. I mean, he did the True Grit remake, but part of me can never really give him, take even though he was great in that, just because John Wayne, right? John Wayne
Yeah.
owns Rooster Cogburn. I can't really give it to anybody else, but he did. Where was it? It was in the 90s.
How dare you, awesome one. Big Lebowski is one of the greatest movies ever made.
Oh, Big Lebowski is.
If anything, it was underrated. It got no ratings at all. Nobody watched it until later.
Oh, there it is. The Fisher King. I love the Fisher King. That's
let me pull up my screen and show you what I was going to tell you was my favorite one. Just so I can prove that I wasn't making it up on the spot. The Fisher King.
Yeah. I was trying to remember the exact name and be like, I got to get this right. But yeah,
Great movie.
I love the Fisher
Robin
King.
Williams and him. He was a radio DJ in that one?
He
It's
was
been a long time since I've seen it.
He was a shock jock who ended up the Robin Williams wife his shock jock career overlapped with Robin Williams' character, where he was basically responsible for destroying Robin Williams' life.
Right.
And this Robin Williams is a homeless man that he then comes across.
Like he's like literally living in the sewers type thing.
Yeah. And they go on a quest for the Holy Grail, and it's a metaphor. It's a metaphor for rebirth and finding, value in life and all that kind of. We used to be a proper country with a proper Hollywood system. They actually could layer metaphor in there, and it wasn't so like. But they weren't gonna get the actual Holy Grail. It was like, just for God's sakes, watch the movie and get the message they're layering in about redemption.
Yeah, not everything has to be completely literal.
Yeah, so I absolutely love the Fisher King, because Robin Williams was a fantastic dramatic actor.
Yes,
I mean, he got the Oscar for Good Will Hunting.
He was a great comedian, but he was one of the few that made the transition over to a dramatic actor that really did it well.
I really enjoy this is
What Dreams
May Come.
What Dreams May Come. Yeah.
I think it's underrated. I know that people think it's
weird movie, but the message behind it was fantastic, I thought.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the way they paint the idea of they don't shy away from heaven and God and there being a hell and being sent to hell because you did bad things and having to be rescued because there is a lot of Christian orthodoxy that believe that is and I think this is accurate, that there is, even from hell, a redemptive path that involves seeking forgiveness and acknowledging Jesus and all that kind of stuff. There's some theology that says that once you're condemned to hell, you're always condemned to hell. But regardless of that debate, the way they kind of approach it within What Dreams May Come is that, he has to descend into hell to get his wife. And that until he can get her to acknowledge and forgive herself and seek redemption, she's never going to leave. It's a very psychological inward thing. I love the way they construct the idea of the afterlife with your ability to, in this case, he was being coached on the afterlife by his son, but he didn't know it was his son, because when you're there, you can it's almost like the Matrix. You can project the image of yourself that
Yeah,
you
it was
want to.
almost like Dante's Inferno, being guided through there.
Yeah, so there's a lot of classical imagery and metaphor that are in that, and if you're versed in classics like the Aeneid, Dante's Inferno, and a lot of the Greek
Yeah.
stuff, you're going to pick up on a lot of themes. Like I we homeschool our son, and one of the things I try, make sure we add into his lessons is a lot of classical story. Like we're doing the Odyssey, we're doing
The
the Aeneid,
Iliad.
the Iliad. We're doing all that. And when we were first talking about it, my wife was like, "Well, why would you do that?" Because she didn't do it in public school, right? Public school completely drops that. I was like,
Right.
because there's so much metaphor that is lifted from the classics that having a foundation in this will allow you to figure things out. Like I got a great score on my SAT because I took Latin. And she's like, "How does that work?" I was like, "Latin, even though I didn't speak it very well, I was good at understanding and translating and seeing root words.
Right.
And if you
It's the
can
basis for most of our languages.
yeah, and if you can get a root word when you're doing a lot of the English and the grammar and the language section of the SATs, that foundation allows you, if you're on a multiple choice test, when you start eliminating choices because you know they don't fit, you start increasing your odds of getting the right answer, even if you don't know the right answer completely.
Right.
So, this kind of stuff, having a classical background allows you to see things that are being laid out in front of you. The
Great
yeah,
Gatsby. There were a number of classics we had to read.
Yeah.
Moby Dick wasn't one of them, thankfully, because
Yeah.
even though it's a classic, I have never met a single person who thinks that they are better off having read Moby Dick.
Tox Manflu says, "I read those books in public school. Seems like public schools are really dumbing things down." I can tell you they are, because every year we give our son a standardized test because we homeschool. We have to provide documents to the government that show
Proving that he's learning
that he
something.
is making progress. And we did his testing, and and they give you the results, right, by a grade level of what he's equivalent. In punctuation and grammar, he was equivalent of 13.8. So that means college. Our 10-year-old is clocking
Right.
college level results.
So
And
was
then
most of my class back in the day at a private school.
Yeah.
I mean, it is the public school system that is failing. Private
Yeah.
school just cost a lot.
Yeah, so
I would be homeschooling if I had the choice, or if I had known how bad the public schools had gotten when my kids first gotten in there, because at this point they're basically done.
Here's the other thing with homeschooling. It takes maybe an hour and a half to 2 hours a day. That's it.
Right.
That's it. You think that you need longer than that? You don't. Because you're giving individualized attention to your child. You don't need to, like, the reason it takes 8 hours in a public school is because they've got to do a lesson to 30 plus students.
Sure.
And hope within that lesson the students can sort of extrapolate on their own what they're learning
From the book. Yeah.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this, homeschooling. Do you, like, if it's obviously he's not paying attention at any given time, do you just give up for an hour and say,
Yes.
okay, we're
Yep.
going to go back to it.
Yep.
We will do this when you are
We
concentrating.
100% will call the audible and tell them to go outside and play.
Okay.
We'll go grab your bike, ride around the block a few times. We'll go out back. Sometimes my wife takes him to a park to just burn off his energy.
Excess energy.
And then we come back. And sometimes if it's just not working in the morning, she just punts it till the afternoon.
Sure.
And she's like, "We're going to switch to something practical. Maybe we'll break out his guitar and work on his guitar lessons or whatever." Because we get the ability to
you can
do a
shift
music
on the
class,
fly.
an art class. Yeah, we'll tell them, we'll do them like, "Hey, you have a writing prompt. Go to the computer and do this writing prompt. Work on your typing." Or, "Hey, we're going to change to typing. We're going to change to Latin or Spanish because we're doing language." We just do like 5-10 minutes lessons of those every day, because so you have super flexibility to just kind of adjust. And if he really is digging a subject and wants to dig into it, like he really got into the Revolutionary War history,
Yeah.
we start adding extra stuff on that and just start going
Or
deep.
field trips.
Yeah, so he just went to Monticello. We drove him, down there and did a day down at Thomas Jefferson's house.
Yeah.
We went to one,
which I've heard is fantastic. I'll never
It
see
is.
it because I never go to that coast ever. But
Yeah, we went to I think one time we were just like, how about next week we go to Gettysburg? I'll just take this is when I was working. I'll put in for the day off and we'll just go up to Gettysburg on a weekday and do the tour at Gettysburg.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's good stuff. Like you can just kind of do whatever you want. You can audible, you can
Talk's got you pretty good on that one.
He would
get firsthand experience cooking meth in public school. You aren't teaching him those kinds of vocational skills in homeschooling.
No, that's true.
That was a good one.
I can guarantee that he's not learning the meth.
I think probably a quarter of the kids at my daughter's school right now. I mean, she's a sophomore. It's a little bit late to do anything about it, but a quarter of the kids at her school have ankle bracelets.
Oh, I mean, I guess it's just one of those things.
And we kept her in a charter school for the first, up until high school. She moved into public school at high school. So she was having trouble in the charter school keeping up because they go much faster than the public school does. And now she's pretty much ahead of the senior class from being in the charter school up until high school. So, I mean, she's not having any trouble now, straight A's, but there's a whole bunch of crap going on in that school that I would rather she not be exposed to. But on the other hand, like I had one of my best friends from high school. He was homeschooled until high school. And high school, it was still a private school, so it wasn't like he was being thrown into the public school system. But, that was his acclimation to, actually being a little bit more social. I know now there are groups and stuff that you can do with the homeschooling where you get plenty socialized.
He is in
but homeschooling wasn't much of a thing back when we were little. I mean, there was people doing it, but there weren't programs at the schools where you could then plug in for extracurricular.
Let me tell you some of the stuff he gets. Like right now, we have a university right by us that does they do a program. It's their music majors.
Yeah.
So they do it for homeschool kids. It's $5, Brahma, $5 for the entire semester. You get a weekly class where the music majors are teaching them, because this is how they get basically
their
kids
credits
to learn how to be teachers. This is like their student teaching credit.
Sure.
So they do a music class for homeschoolers. So it's once a week for $5. I get an entire semester of a music class he gets to go to from college kids. Then there's a homeschool basketball league where it has clinics and it has teams, like
Park and Rec type stuff.
Yeah. So this was $20. He's in right now for a 4-week, 2-hour a week clinic, and it's 4 weeks for $20. He's getting a basketball clinic. And from there, if I want to, we can look at putting him into like a basketball, basically like a travel team for homeschool kids that plays other homeschool kids. He's in 3 co-ops. He's one that's a farm school where once a week we take him and we drop him off, and it's at a farm, and he learns and talks with practical knowledge. He learns how to take care of farm animals and do farm work. So it's called farm school. Like he was learning how to just the last few weeks,
how to milk a cow, the eggs.
The chicks came in, right? The little baby chicks. And it was about learning how to take care of little baby chicks, to get them ready to, got to keep lamps and et cetera, et cetera. So it's, so that's one. There's another co-op where it's based on just going to a park and they do outdoor school, right, where it's like physical activities in the outdoors. And
Mhm.
then there's another co-op where it's just group learning and they rotate subjects. So it's not hard to find these things.
But well, it was back in the day. It's far more balanced now. I mean, because even going to a private school, there were kids from my class who went off to college and came screaming back, 3 weeks into college because they had no exposure to the outside world except for a private Christian school. And I worked at a restaurant from 16 to 21 or 20. So, yeah, I got plenty of exposure. It was not a big deal when I went to college. But I mean, there is a balance that needs to be met there, and it sounds like the new homeschooling programs are much better about it than back in the day, even probably more balanced than even what the private schools are in some cases. Private schools, when I'm saying that, I'm typically meaning the Christian type schools or religious schools, because yeah, there's a lot of people who come out of those schools and have no exposure to the world, like the actual world, and can't handle it.
Oh, Awesome One's got one that's going to be relevant for you there, Brahma. He's asking if I ever climbed Mount Trashmore. That is a park near Virginia Beach where they reclaimed a landfill and
Oh yeah,
made it into a park. And there's a really big hill there, and they call it Mount Trashmore. So you should ask your daughter if she has gone
tell
to
the kids to go over there.
Mount Trashmore Park. It's actually a pretty nice looking park now. Yeah, you're
See if they notice anything that might be a little bit different from the rest of the landscape. You mean?
Well, I mean, it actually is called Mount Trashmore. So
Yeah. Well,
you
she said Virginia Beach was very, very cold right now. They actually found a different beach that they went to where she said it actually felt like it was heated water. It was so nice. So I don't think they'll be going back to Virginia Beach this week.
No, of course Virginia Beach is going to be cold. It's May. The currents.
I tried to tell them
Yeah,
that before they went out, but
the Atlantic beaches are much warmer than Pacific beaches, but that doesn't happen. The reason there's hurricane season is because the warm water currents start moving up from the Gulf, and that's
Yeah.
the feed for hurricanes is warm water.
It's just like low and high pressure systems
Exactly.
in the air. No,
Yeah.
but there wasn't a chance in hell they were going to go over there where a beach is and not take the grandbaby at 9 months to go see the ocean for the first time.
Depending on
she
all right.
has not liked all that much so far.
I'm going to tell you right now, if they're stationed in that zone, that Virginia
Mhm.
Beach is easy for them. North Carolina beaches are only a couple hours away. Like we're talking like Outer Banks type. They're beautiful. They're much warmer even than Virginia Beach. There's a
Yeah.
really great one that caters to the military families called Emerald Isle. It's a barrier island.
I've heard of it.
And it's beautiful. It's great. It's not it's only houses and condos. There's no like hotel developments there. So like the wild kid parties never happen. It's just families
Yeah.
that are going there. There's also a Civil
I
War
could try to
fort.
reach out to her for tomorrow, but after tomorrow he's back, in training, and they've only got like 5-6 days to hang out together, because he's been over there for a month already. So, early marriage, they've got a kid. He's been sent over there. She stayed back here rather than going over there. So she's just there to visit. So I doubt they're gonna do any separate time after tomorrow when he's still off. So, but I'll tell her. I mean, that might be a drive they'll make.
So is he in like
He's in some specialist training school right now.
So he's probably in his so they have specialists.
He can't be advanced anymore until he goes through this training school.
So is he in the AIT? Is that what it is?
Don't know. Like I said, they don't tell me crap.
So he's probably in his AIT, which is the specific training for his his MOS, military occupations.
You're saying plenty of letters.
All right, I'm sure somebody in the chat will know what I'm talking about when I say AIT and MOS.
I think he's training to be a engineer.
Yeah,
work on different mechanical type stuff.
Like
because his father actually owns a Hot Shots type team. So even though he's in the Army, he's trying to get some training on working on planes and other vehicles, because that would be useful for him once he is out of the Army and can go work for his father and work on some of the planes for his Hot Shots unit.
All right, so how long has he been in the military?
Good question. I think 4 to 5 years. I think he's at his first re-up.
All right, then he may have gotten a new MOS or something, because normally, all right, if you're getting recruited and you pass your paperwork good enough, the military is normally lately you do your basic and go right from basic to your AIT, which is your advanced individual training.
I can tell you what he's doing now. He is the armorer, one of the head armorers at Fort Carson. So right. I don't know what rank that would apply, but
that's probably not a high rank.
I would think not.
No, he's basically
in charge of checking in and checking out the guns and the ammunition,
and probably cleaning them. Like,
he says he has to sharpen pencils quite a bit.
Yeah, so he's going to be locking up guns. He's going to be attaching probably things for people when they go to do zero testing. Anyway, that's not an advanced thing. So he's probably, well,
they're young. I mean,
he's probably, is he a specialist? What's his rank? Specialist?
We already talked about
this.
Yeah,
I know.
I'm trying to
figure it out. Well, I'm trying to see if it jogged your memory.
And because they are in Eastern time zone, even earlier, I could not text and ask because it was late for them.
All right. Here's what I'm going to throw down my guess. He's currently in E3. He's going through AIT, and once he successfully completes his AIT school, he's probably going to move to E4.
I will check, and we will answer that question next week.
All right. We'll see how good I did on that.
Also, for everybody in the chat, yes, this is still going to be a politically based show, but it really is going to be just kind of how me and Chad talk backstage when we're
now we don't have
upfront. I mean, we've gone through our political stuff. We're just kind of, between the movie stuff tonight and this kind of stuff, it's just how me and Chad talk. So it's going to be a little bit of a mix of that, but it will still be political focused. The main topics are going to be politics, but hopefully you guys enjoy it. I enjoyed having Mike and Carrie on.
I thought it was fun to have. I think doing our show now at this time
where people can actually join us
is going to probably be helpful and conducive to having more guests on.
I know Comics wants to come on. I'm pretty sure Brandon Morris will come on. Shags will probably come on at some point. I know you've got a full gambit of people that you can get on that probably couldn't have done it on Sunday morning. But yeah.
And this is where it's fun, where we don't have the time constraint. We can riff on some things. We don't have to feel like we're pushing on anything. Both Brahma and I have, families where Sunday during the day we run into time constraints. So this is fun. We get to, when we get into tangents, if we want to start going over the military rank system, we can do that. Talk about Mount Trashmore of Virginia Beach. But yeah. I think it's more conducive to being conversational. We can involve chat more. Again, if you have questions, you can ask them. If we see them, we answer. Super chats definitely get answered. Hint. membership chats Brahma keeps an eye out for. So those
and
are
at some
ways.
point, we may even. Here's what I've thought about for members: is immediately after the show on Sunday nights, I may go into a gaming members only stream where people can ask whatever they want, and I do, an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours of gaming, because typically what I do after we get done with the show anyway. And maybe, you pop into Discord and help answer questions if you feel so inclined, but that's just kind of a thing rolling around in my head, because I do need to give some perks to the members. So
yeah, I mean, I'm cool.
We try to highlight them as best we can anytime that they do super chat or do a member chat, but yeah, there needs to be some more perks for the members.
I think, yeah, the figuring out like what to do for members that isn't just like a watch party or something is it's tough sometimes.
Well, the watch parties are fine, but you have to have the setup to be able to do that, where a whole bunch of people can watch something with you. And yeah, I know people who've done that, but typically, like if I'm gaming and doing something like Expedition 33 and do an Ask Me Anything type stream, I mean, that's more fun, I think, for members who want to ask literally anything. It can be about politics or it can be about something else. I'll give you my thoughts on it within reason. But yeah, I think that might be a thing that we can do.
I think that'll be a good one. Yep.
Copied Kitty asks, a question for next time. Anything to the Cessna crash at the military housing base here in SoCal? I have not heard anything about that.
I don't know. I mean, it's hard to tell because it's not like the Black Hawk, right? Where it took down an entire jet.
Is this the one that crashed into like multiple houses and set them afire?
I'm thinking it's the one in San Diego, right? That's what we're talking about.
SoCal, so probably. I mean, there can't have been that many Cessnas crashing in the past few weeks.
Yeah, I think Cessna small jet crash at 4:30 a.m. I mean, small jets
are usually what, 2 people, 4 people? Are they even jets? Cessnas, I thought were.
You can get small ones. They make up to small jets too.
A jet version, okay.
Yeah, but they're not like, they're not like Gulfstreams or something.
Sure. I mean, they're typically privately owned, not like a private plane, but like a enthusiast hobby plane, right?
Yeah, exactly. This is gonna be beyond like where we're talking like a turboprop, like what John F. Kennedy Jr. was flying when the Clintons eliminated him from the Senate race. What? I mean, I thought that's known at this point. Trump shared a video.
It is known. This is the way.
It's got a flight recorder. We'll see what that says. The other thing is small
Actually,
planes.
Davina saying no flight recorder. Flying out of New Jersey with no flight recorder.
I mean,
I don't know anything about it, so
my first question is: any of the victims?
Why would there not be a flight recorder
known to the Clintons? That's the first question. If any one of them was known to the Clintons, we know the answer right now. But these smaller planes crash more frequently, and I believe. And here's what I'm going to be honest about: private ownership. The idea of maintenance is actually much less rigorous than when it's a large airline. Large airlines are monitored much more diligently about their maintenance records and operations.
Sure.
These smaller planes, smaller jets, smaller Cessnas, it's a lot more individualized on how well maintained they're being. And there's a lot of stuff that can go wrong on those things.
Yeah,
Sometimes
Harrison Ford's crashed like 3 times, right?
Yes.
John Denver didn't have a good go at it.
I mean, he's leaving on a jet plane. Doesn't know when he'll be back again.
Yep.
So I mean, just recently there was golfer. Would forget which golfer it was whose whole family passed away because the private small plane they were on crashed. I think that was in the mountains. Was that in
I didn't hear
Colorado?
about that one. I mean, the only golfer I remember was Payne Stewart, where they depressurized in the cabinet or the cabin, and everybody was dead, and the plane was just flying around for hours, and they thought they might have to shoot it down to keep it from
Yeah,
going
maybe
down over a populated area. But that was
Payne's
like 2000.
that was 1999.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not like things like that still. I mean, if they're
Payne
not
Stewart,
famous,
man, that guy was a great golfer. I mean, that was back when I watched golf a lot. So that's something you can learn from here.
I
Back
just
in
remember
1999, when I was a senior in high school, I was watching golf on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But yeah, Payne Stewart used to wear oh, he had the unusual attire. He wore the like short pants with long socks and had the like caddy style hat. He would dress up in that for every tournament.
yeah, it's
Good guy.
he had the fashion sense, man. He had with the cap and the socks.
He was old school golf.
Yeah, it's tough to see when it's celebrity like where conspiracy or is it just bad maintenance on a small plane. It's so
Yeah.
I don't know anybody. I would with the one with the Black Hawk and that stuff, it was obvious early on because we had enough data.
EEI.
We had enough data about the Black Hawk like going above the ceiling, not changing direction. We had we had video of it from multiple angles where that helicopter just went straight into
That
it.
people got fired for releasing those videos. Yeah.
Yeah, for helping us, actually have the truth.
Have some truth. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
I don't know on this one. I just have not looked into it enough. I heard something about a plane going down and houses being set alight, but I don't know who was even manning the flight. Was it just some private flight where something went wrong, or who was on it? Yeah.
yeah. So no opinion on it yet. Again, outside of if we find out someone was known to the Clintons, then it's hands down obvious what happened.
Then we know.
Like, then we know.
Oh, we know.
We know. It is.
Anyway, we've gone 3 hours. I think it's probably that time. What do you got coming up?
I think the evening experiment has been well received. Got Matapap Tuesday on Mad's new channel.
Yep.
Depending on no idea what the story will be just yet. So I don't know. You don't know. We'll all be going in blind to that one.
But the gentleman is well medicated. We are a go.
Yeah, you can always tell when Mad gets his refill because he'll pop up on like a dozen shows in 3 days.
Every show. Yeah. Any show you can think of, he's like, I'm free.
Yep. I would say we've got Ascendant Art Friday, 9 p.m. Eastern. If everybody who isn't already could go over, subscribe to the channel, maybe put in some watch hours on that. We've got a good show. We've been having a lot of fun doing full breakdowns on Mobland the entire season.
And this episode will be crazy.
We had a lot of theories confirmed. I'd like just to say, remember on Friday when I told you exactly what would happen with those two cops?
Well, I think everybody but one person was saying that.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying I called that exactly because it was so like that's what would you use that for very clearly?
Well, you said staged in a field, not
I said they would
plant.
No, I said that they would somehow find the bodies and blame it on the Harrigans.
Yeah.
And I gave an example like staging in a field and but it was pretty close. They said they found the bodies over and wherever, and they were going for the DNA. And what's interesting, we're gonna do the breakdown, but man,
Well, I mean, this is a brand new episode,
Yeah.
so we don't want to spoil anything. But
Yeah, it just
this
dropped.
episode was freaking wild.
Man, was
And
it?
I've watched it twice already, and it was just like the dinner scene is like, I mean, everybody is just blowing up all at once. So
Have
if
you
you've been
felt
watching the
more?
show,
Have you felt more for a character than Jan sitting at that dinner?
oh, Jan was like, oh, what just happened?
By the way, the look on Jen's face as Serafina asked some basic questions that apparently didn't occur to Jan was pretty funny.
And Jan tries to stand up and get out of the room, and then
And Harry's
like,
nope.
This
You
is
stay.
not your time to do anything. You're done.
Yep.
So we'll be talking about it in detail on Friday because, wow, this one was wild. I mean, they kind of just blew up everything. I mean, a lot of our theories were confirmed, but at the same time, that went a completely different way than I thought it would on everybody. Just boom. So,
By the way, I'm just going to say, if you're getting away with something, don't come back into the room and try to like push anything because it ends badly for you.
yes, that is also true.
You got away with it, buddy. Go.
Oh, Superior Nav's trying to get us to fight. Is the new Mission Impossible good? I say no.
said yes.
Chad says yes. I said it was good. It's an okay watch. It's a 4.5 out of 10. It's middle of the road. Chad really likes it.
I think it was
And-
really good. It was entertaining. It was. If you watched the last one and enjoyed the last one, you're gonna enjoy this one.
I enjoyed the last one. I didn't like this one.
If you're not a cynical person and you enjoyed the last one, you'll like this one.
I'm a sarcastic person, not a cynical person.
You should go watch it at the Draft House like I do. Then you can have your adult beverages while you watch the movie and have a good time.
No thanks.
Of course, you probably watched it alternatively, and so you could have had you probably could have your beverages
Twice. Yes.
So all right, we'll agree to disagree on that.
Yes, we already have. I brought up all my points on comics this show and didn't go into more of it with you because you like it too much.
I do enjoy the Mission Impossible movies.
I enjoy them. I just wish it didn't get so over convoluted in the last two.
I don't know. I'm just not gonna overthink things that I have a good time with.
Fair enough.
That's my position.
Nav, probably worth checking out if you like the series. If you haven't liked the series, wait for it. But if you've liked the series, go watch it. I mean, the stunt work and everything is good enough to make it worth seeing it. And like I said on Ascend Art, I like Tom Cruise. I hate his religion, but I like what he does for Hollywood, and I would like to see him continue to thrive. So I think people should go see it. Did I think it was a great movie? No, I thought it was a mid movie. But I think Tom Cruise specifically needs to be supported.
Yep. I think yeah, I mean I respect people who think it was a little long. And if you enjoyed Dead Reckoning more than Final Reckoning, I could see why, because I do think the train sequence in Dead Reckoning was fantastic. I love the train sequence.
I liked it, but it also felt a lot like the subsequence in this one. What I did like in Dead Reckoning was Vanessa Kirby.
So that here, all right. If I take Final Reckoning and I just do if I had recut it so that there was 20 20 minutes of Vanessa Kirby in it within that, but didn't
You still
change
got to
the
take
time.
out 40 other minutes.
No.
You got to take out him telling everybody why they should listen to him over the entity. I mean,
right.
if it's that superfluous throughout, or that if it's spread everywhere to where nobody believes anything, then they should all know that without him having to tell every single person he sees,
I leave it the
including the
same
president.
length. But for some reason, Haley Atwell is rescuing Vanessa Kirby and giving her mouth to mouth.
It's still 40 minutes too long.
All right, just seeing if I could push it to there for you. All right, then your opinion is legitimate.
It's just long. They could cut out some exposition and it would be a fine movie.
Average Patriot Nerd, she was a callback to Fallout. So it's not so much as being Michelle Obama. This movie was a celebration of all of the 30 years of this franchise.
Yeah, she's the former CIA director.
And she was brought in. She was the one. The reason it was important for her to be the president is because she made the mistake in Fallout of trusting Henry Cavill over, Ethan.
Over Ethan.
And so in this movie, when Ethan's asking her specifically, trust me one last time, it's important for her to have had a history within the franchise of learning the lesson the hard way to trust Ethan Hunt. That's what I thought was the reason they went with that as the casting. Plus, if you go back, they already killed
because she was already there, and
they
a CIA director becoming a president is not necessarily something that hasn't happened.
Yeah, HW. Yeah, and they already killed Alec Baldwin's character, so he couldn't do it. And
Jeremy Renner's not around.
Yeah, and they had established very clearly that Kittredge is such an asshole that no one's going to vote for him. He's just like Kittredge is a guy who gets things done, but not because he's likable.
He's also dumb as a freaking rock.
So, and they had killed Carrie Elways the previous movie too. And actually, if you go back to the previous movie, her picture was already up as the president within the office of the Director of National Intelligence. They have in the offices the president's picture. So I
think you're getting way too defensive with your Average Patriot Nerd. I think he was making a joke.
I am just making a point that this isn't the G20 Amazon movie. It's because I think that one was 100% fan wish casting for Michelle Obama being president.
Yeah, I mean, Dead Reckoning came out long before Kamala was even thought to be the nominee, so definitely not that.
All right, so we should wrap it up again. We're good. I think.
Sure. So this week, tomorrow I'll be on comics. Tuesday, Matt's new channel. Wednesday, we've only got like 3-4 more weeks of the midweek hump with Shags. And then he's moving to Hawaii because he got a new job too. Thursday back with comics.
Family? Man, that's a big move.
Yeah, they're going back home to Hawaii. So
it's 7:17 p.m. in Hawaii right now.
Yeah, that's why we're not doing a Wednesday show anymore, because he's working in restaurant hospitality. So nighttime is where you make your money, and he's a manager, so there will be no midweek hump anymore. But we got like 3 or 4 weeks, so come check it out while we're still doing it. I'm sure we'll have some big guests, like Garrett will be back. Hell, maybe we'll even try to snag Lofty Pixels one more time for the show.
Only if we can talk about Starfield.
Yeah. Toxic Man Flu for $2. You convinced me. All got see the 4-hour film not. I think I think he was doing a Wayne's World. You convinced me. I'll go see the 4-hour film. Not. Friday, we're on Ascend and Art with Chad and his co-host, Slender Dad. Saturday, I do Bourbon and Boarding for another few weeks. It's still like a month until the Stanley Cup playoffs are done. And then Sunday, we're back here, 8 p.m. I hope everybody loves the new time slot. I think it'll be fun. We'll get some guests. We'll have some great times talking about politics and really just whatever we feel like after we're done with that, I guess, because this has been fun. So hope everybody had a great evening. Enjoy your Memorial Day, and we will catch you later.
Bye, everybody.